Hello everybody, welcome into my latest live stream. Today is March the 1st, it's Friday, yay for Friday. Had some audio issues that seem to have come out of nowhere. So let me just make sure audio is addressed and everybody can hear me okay. It's not too loud, not too quiet. Let me know before we get started. A huge shout out and thank you to all the contributions that have come in even before the stream started. Steve Caruso's contributed very generously $25. He says, I hope this helps someone who needs a computer built and have a Coke on me. Right on. Yes, we're going to be getting back to those computer giveaways. And Steve, if you don't already have a case badge and you would like one, please email me and let me know who you are and remind me of this, and I'll be happy to get one out to you in the mail. Orlando Brave contributed $5. Jim Desposito, $10 for a Coke. That's a lot of Coke, you guys are. Maru, $5. He says, hey, I got my case badge, the ultimate Go Faster sticker. I'll send pictures of my build once I put it on. And Tony Wallow with a very generous contribution of $49.99. He says, sorry for missed funds for last month, Carey. Tony, you don't owe me a thing. Tony was a recipient of one of the computer giveaways, but Tony has more than paid for that computer with his contributions, and that's never expected and always appreciated. And thank you to Tony, and thank you to everybody. Audio is still bad, and it still sounds muffled. Oh, man. Carey is a girl's name. Yeah, Cary Grant, you know, certainly not a man's man at all, was he? Something has to have changed with my audio, and before we get started, let's see if we can figure out what's happening here. It looks like some way, somehow, my audio got altered. Let's try changing the sensitivity. I can't remember how to do this. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Testing. This seems to be a result of the latest OBS software. I'm not exactly sure. I've got the microphone sensitivity cranked all the way down. Let's get that audio adjusted here before we begin. So this is cranked minus 60 dB as far as this microphone pack will go down. Marujin Kalustian has contributed $1. Could it be an update to the OBS? Yeah, that's what okay. It's a 90-second delay between what I say and when you hear me. More better, that's better, it's better now, but is it good? Is it as good as it's been, or is it too quiet? Let's crank it up a little bit. Maybe whoops, I'm sorry. Sensitivity, let's crank the sensitivity back to, let's see, there's 51 dB. Let's try 51 dB. Is 51 dB, negative 51 dB. You can see on this, if you guys want to see what that looks like, if the camera will focus. Or did I just go the opposite way too far? It gives me like 51. Tell you what, guys, I'm going to just announce the numbers and you tell me what sounds best, because of the delay, it's a little challenging to do this. Okay, so here we go. Let's try us. And again, I can go at this from the camera and I can go at this from OBS, but I want to go at it from the source. So thank you for your help on this, by the way, because I can't do it on my own. Sensitivity is at negative 51. 51 is on the edge of distortion. Okay, thank you. Here is 54. Right now I'm at negative 54 dB. How are we at negative 54? 55 is not an option. Getting a lot of hissing sound in the background. Echo is normal because I'm in a kitchen and there's no carpet, so we always had echo. So now we're at negative 54, and the other thing I can do is adjust it on the camera. I'm at so normally the camera mic input is at 100, and I've lowered that to 70, so everything's being cranked way down, and I'm not exactly sure why. Now, I can turn a filter on the audio, If we go to audio and we go to OBS filter settings, I think, right click on audio, go to filters. Now, this is noise suppression. Right now, I have noise suppression on. What happens when I turn noise suppression on is when I stop talking, it should go dead silent. Do you find this annoying, or do you prefer this? Because if you guys don't like this, I can play with the noise gate. But if I use the noise gate and noise suppression, it tends to throw people off. It starts sounding like a walkie-talkie where you have nothing and then you're kind of hit and then you have nothing, and it's a little off-putting to some people. Nick Poverman says, it is OBS. I had to go to 50% after the update. 50% on what? Your microphone, your camera, the OBS software. The hiss is gone, but it sounds metallic. Uh-oh. Are you figuring out I'm really a Terminator? I'll be back. Everybody likes this? We're all good? It's definitely not too quiet because I can see the audio levels. So I think if it's too quiet, you need to turn your volume up. And I will do my best not to blow your eardrums so what ends up happening is if I cut away to like some other footage or another camera input, each individual source item has its individual volume, and I forget about that. And then it can hit you full blast, and I certainly don't mean to do that with intention. But ideally, we won't be cutting away to anything today. A couple of contributions have come in, and Peter Brooks has contributed £1.99. He said, this is perfect. Thank you, Peter. David Griswold's contributed $10. Hey, Carey, they're the best tech on YouTube and the best community to be a part of. Well, I don't know if I'm the best tech on YouTube, but I'm certainly a part of the best community, and with you and all my other friends in blue and all the fellow viewers, absolutely 100%. We have something special here. Patrick says, I'm on headphones and it sounds great. Never sounded better, Paul says. Wonderful, wonderful. Nikos says, greetings from Greece. Wonderful, thank you. Dylan, you're hilarious. Be glad you can't smell it. Nick says he uses OBS to capture video from our webinars, and after the OBS update, I had to turn the volume down to 50% on OBS. I was looking on OBS and I didn't see a setting in there for that yet, but I just looked 2 minutes before I went live. That's how busy I am. Sharon Idles contributed £1. Thank you to Sharon, and Sharon has some amazing EDM music that she creates. If you like EDM music, check out Sharon's website. Sharon, please post a link to your website. Sharon's a continued supporter and a loyal member of the community. Good to see Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Catherine Anna Hauserman, if you guys are ever looking for a parts list to build your own machine. Catherine will be more than happy to put a parts list together to you as time permits, and all she wants in return is a thank you. And to be honest, it's not really her demand, it's mine, right? Catherine will never tell you she wants a thank you, which is all the more reason in the world to give her one. In fact, you can give her one right now. It costs you nothing. Your sound is cutting in and out. Yes, that's the, okay, so as I already said, with the noise suppression, that's what it's supposed to do. When I stop talking, it's supposed to take away all the background noise. Let me just play with it for a minute, because I can always set this back. Let's see if we can make everybody happy. An impossible task. Let's try turning off noise suppression, and let's turn on the noise gate. And let's try the noise gate. So again, the noise gate's going to have that effect. When I stop talking, the room goes completely silent. What do you guys like? Do you like this better or worse than it was? We'll take a vote. Ben Laird's contributed £2. He says, keep up the good work, Carey. Well, thank you very much. And with your contributions, that certainly helps me to be able to do that. The audio is still getting clipped. Audio is cutting out even when you are talking. Okay. Let me take a look in some settings. I don't know if I can do this in OBS while I'm live, but let's just see what I can do. Sample rate is at 4.1 kilohertz. We'll crank it up to 48 kilohertz. But the program has to be restarted for that to take effect. We should be out at 60 frames a second. Are we out at 60 frames per second? Can anybody verify that for me? Patrick says it causes pumping of the sound. Okay. I don't have any audio volume setting here in OBS so far that I have found. Output, video rate, audio rate. Elliot Fleming has very generously contributed $20. He says, hello from Chicago and have a Coke on me. Go back to compression, Carey. All right, let me go back to compression. Right click, filters, turn the noise gate off, it's noise suppression. I can turn the noise suppression down. We're at negative 30 dB. I'm sorry, I can turn it up. Let's go to 25 and see if that helps at all. And Magnum says, I've got an i7 4790K. I've got no motherboard for it anymore. I will donate to the channel. I don't have a motherboard for it either, unfortunately. Let's see. The audio settings are in the sliders in the middle of OBS. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I've already cut that way down. Let me go at it from the camera. That might be a little easier. Let's try this. Microphone levels on manual. And that's pretty extreme. I've just cranked it way down. It's down to 50 out of 100. Let's hear what that sounds like now. Sometimes you just got to get it from the right place. Sometimes if the source is being oversaturated, right, and this is my source, it can either be adjusted on the sending unit or perhaps even on the receiving unit, which I haven't even checked. Then the camera itself has audio leveling, attenuation, etc. And then on top of that, the OBS software has its own audio settings. And you got to find, well, each one will make a difference. The question is which one makes the most improvement. Bring it up a little bit. What do you think? Too low. Everybody says it's too low. It's hard to say because where I'm at right now, watching the volume meter, it does appear to be a little low. But what if I bring it up on OBS instead of bringing it up on the camera? Actually, the camera shows it really low too. All right, let me bring it up a little on the camera. It does have auto gain control. Maybe I need to put AGC on manual. Let's crank that down 5 dB, and then let's turn the volume back up on, that's the mic level. And we'll bring the mic level up to 57 with auto gain control. Let's try that. Now that looks pretty good in OBS, but I'm curious if it's distorting. Again, we'll get started here in a minute. I just want to make sure it's the best it can be. I'm not an audio specialist. I'm a computer guy, so I just have to sort of play around with the knobs. If I had another person here with me wearing headphones, we could probably adjust this, but I want to make sure that Stealth Mode says I could use that 4790K and I would love to have it. Maybe you two need to talk. Maybe Stealth Mode can at least pay for shipping or something, you know? I love this community. I love that you guys help each other. You know how rare that is to find on the internet? Do you have any idea how precious this space is? I mean, to me, who'd have thought this would be possible? But you guys make that possible. Nick says, I'm not getting any overmodulation. Noise gate is worse. Noise suppression is good. Maybe after adjusting, you can remove the filter. Let's remove the filter. Let's try it, because I shouldn't need the filter. Let's take the noise suppression off. Okay, noise suppression is off now. Let's try that with, usually I run with no filters. So, and anybody who knows me knows I talk with no filters, so why not? Checking 1, 2, 3. You'll never close your eyes anymore. Don't sing, Carey. Nobody wants to hear that. And by the way, how old are you? These are called, by the way, these shirts, these are not Charlie Sheen shirts. Well, actually, some of them are. These are rockabilly shirts. If you guys want to find shirts like this, and I don't know why you would, go to Google and type in rockabilly shirt, and you can find all kinds of shirts like these. It's from the 1950s. It's a 1950s thing that Charlie Sheen and Two and a Half Men sort of brought back. I'm not a 1950s guy. I'm a 1980s guy, but you don't want to see me wearing a 1980s shirt. It'll look like somebody spray painted it with zigzags and bright neon colors. Those are good times to live in, but yeah, it doesn't age well. Rockabilly, rockabilly. Ziggy says, it sounds fantastic at my end, but I'm not so sure about the singing. There is hiss in the background. Well, that's what happens, right? So the way a microphone works is if you don't put it through a noise gate, it picks up everything. A microphone can't determine, for example, a voice from a hiss or a bang from a drum. It doesn't know. And so you can adjust the frequency of what the microphone picks up. And a software noise gate is not as good as a hardware noise gate, but because I'm in the kitchen, I don't have room for all of this equipment to be wired up. You'd get a mixer, you'd get a noise gate, you wire the microphone out through the noise gate into the mixer and then out into the stream. And it's a lot of cables and it's a lot of wires. And if and when I ever get my own studio, I intend to get there. But for now, basically, I've got a wireless microphone that's connected through the hot shoe on a Canon G40 camera. And apparently this update in OBS has created this issue. But let's turn these lemons into lemonade and make the audio better than it's ever been before. Generally, the louder you turn your volume up, the more hiss you're going to get. I like to listen to the television at night when my wife is asleep, and I put headphones on and I get a hum in the audio. And so there's something called a ground loop isolator. They're like $8 at Amazon, and you just simply put it in line with the output of the TV because I'm using old RCA jacks, I'm not going HDMI. And this ground loop isolator takes care of that hum. But if I crank the volume all the way to 100, which by the way, I would never do, then it amplifies and you can hear the hum again. Normally I keep the volume right at 50 on a 35-watt amp. And then I have a potentiometer or a volume control on my over-the-ear headphones where I then control the volume because, commercials can be louder, or even station to station, the volume can jump up and down. And that works really well for me. And that little ground loop isolator for $8 took the hum right out at reasonable volume. So keep in mind that the hiss will occur the louder your volume is. Bob the Bomb says, I would start, Carey, it sounds fine. Superman G even says it sounds fine. Rudolph says, I'm a 50s guy, but I wouldn't wear it. Hey, more for me. I'm not arguing with you. John Craig says, the sound is good now. Some rockabilly shirts are racy. Indeed they are, but you don't see me wear those. Dirty Harry says it sounded better with the filter. We can adjust the filter. I think the reason why some people don't like the filter is it might be set, not the filter, but the suppression. It might be set a little aggressively by default. Let's see, what would happen? What would happen if we put the filter right there? How about that? I feel like I'm an eye doctor. Better or worse? Magnum says, hey, stealth mode, that i7's yours if you want it. You guys are amazing. All right, so I got the filter, and it's not near as aggressive. Reverend John O'Toole, hey, thank you so much. He recently submitted another great video, if you guys haven't seen it. And he's using a Cronus to clone one SSD to another in a laptop. And as always, just shows you there's no limits to what you can do. It has nothing to do with age, nothing to do with gender, nothing to do with religion. It has only to do with attitude. And if you have the right attitude, you can do it. And it doesn't require anything but the motivation to want to do it. Speaking of reverends, do I have my paperwork? What do I do with my paperwork? In here somewhere. It's in here somewhere. There we go. So apparently this is a religion. Welcome to the Temple of Tech, the Church of Check Disk, the Synagogue of Sim. We don't use Sims anymore, do we? Single inline memory module. I got to think of something that starts with S. The Synagogue of Solid State. That sounds better. The Mosque of... Oh, I'll think of something clever. Does that make all of you my congregation? Thank you for joining me. Here's another one. The Mosque of M.2. That's pretty funny. This isn't, by the way, this is not something you fill out a form. You have to study for this and you have to test for it. So whether or not you think it's valuable, or whether or not you think there's any education or studying involved, there is, and I'm very proud of it. What else do I have? What else can I show you? Oh, yeah, here we go. And although this is technically a theological or it's theology, it is not a religion to me. This is a philosophy. I'm not a religious person. I'm a philosophical person. And I certainly don't intend to change your religious beliefs. Whatever you believe is the right thing for you to believe. And for me, this represents attitude and philosophy. That's my personal take on it. I just like to share it with you because I'm proud of it. This was back in 2011. This is nothing new. As you can see, it's nothing I really boast about, because the minute you start implying any sort of religious anything, people start being divisive, and I hope you're not. I hope you don't take any offense to it. It's just something that matters to me, and anything that matters to me I like to share with you, especially anything I'm proud of. It was hard work, it was studying, and I would have gone for the doctoral degree. I didn't want to. You have to write a dissertation, and it's got to be. Anyway, I couldn't be bothered. And you know what I mean? Like, you have to decide if you're doing something to impress people or are you doing something for yourself. And I want to be clear. I did this for me, and I'm just proud of it, and I'm glad I could share it with you. And I thank you for all of your support. And if that's something that interests you, you can see the name of the school there. They've been around for decades, many decades. You guys can certainly investigate that if you want to. In the meantime, Jeremy says, congratulations, Carey. I got ordained years ago. Nice. Very nice. 634 people are watching. It looks like we've got good audio happening now. I think we should get started. I need to reposition because I've been working on the camera, I need to reposition it, guys. I don't want to make you nauseous. Hang in there, we're going for a little ride. I have marks on the floor, and you can imagine how pleased my wife is with that. It's just masking tape. Tony Wallow, again, $19.99. Wow, that's $70 from Tony today. Thank you, Tony. You're, what can I say? Thank you. Badge holder says the sound is still sludgy. Oh, man, I think everybody wants to move on. Let's take a vote. Audio good enough, or should we work on the audio? I mean, we can, I have no doubt I can keep improving this. I just don't know how much time you want to spend on it. Paul says, enjoyed the latest Tech Vets podcast. Thank you, Paul. Dissertations scare me. Yeah, me too. They require a lot of research, a lot of time and an investment in time, a lot of proofreading. They'll often, the first go around, it generally will not be approved. They'll make notes and tell you what you have to fix or address or prove or cite. They need citations. They need, bibliography. They need to know where your sources were. They need to understand how you came to this conclusion or this hypothesis. And then you'll send it back, and then they'll do it again, and then it'll happen over and over and over, and you stay with it, and you stay persistent, and you can get that doctoral degree. But at the end of it all, what do you do with it? So I can be Dr. Carey Holzman. I can call a restaurant. I like to make reservations. Oh, it's busy? Well, my name is Dr. Carey Holzman. And then somebody's choking on food. And they go, there's a doctor. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm more like a Doctor Who doctor. I get my sonic screwdriver out. Does it work? No, it's a toy I bought off ThinkGeek, but thanks for asking. Audio is great. Leave it alone. Thank you, Paul. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Carey needs more props in the kitchen. I just ordered some. They'll be here next week. Not that that's really helping my relationship, but I like to keep cycling things in the background. Speaking of background, you know what? Let me get something out. I haven't taken this out in a long time, and I think maybe people have forgotten it exists. A friend of mine custom built this for me to my specifications. I don't have the skills to, measure twice and cut once. It never quite works out for me. But I have a good friend who likes to tinker. Actually, I have a couple of friends like that. I seem to attract those kind of friends. And he made this for me, and I don't know why he made it so big and heavy, but that's the way we do things old school. We over-engineer everything. That's what we do. I gotta put this somewhere. How about right here? Oh, it's dusty. Boom! Wait, there it is. Now I gotta wipe it down. This thing has been sitting for so long. It's very dusty. I was wasting a ton of paper towels until I realized you can go to the department store like Target and buy a bunch of washcloths for like $4. Better for the economy, better for the ecology, and just works well. And before we get started, one more thing. Let's take a vote on this too. Let's see what we want to see. Let's see, I got Marble Madness. This was the first video game to have 16-bit sound. A lot of people don't know that. It was an incredible breakthrough, the first video game. We've got Moon Patrol. I love the music in Moon Patrol. It just, once I start thinking of it, I'll never get it out of my head. And I've shown this one before. Oh wait, well this is Gyrus, one of my favorite games besides Galaga. This is Joust, another one of my favorites. This is Defender. This is Dig Dug. Donkey Kong. You see, I had my friend design it so I can pull these out and replace them so I don't have to have the same prop in the background. I think we're down to the last one here, and this is Galaxian. So I'll be swapping those out. You can go on eBay, just type in Arcade Marquee, M-A-R-Q-U-E-E, and they sell these. They're about $13 or $14 or $15 each. They're replicas. They're exactly to the size, specifications, colors, and everything. And they mail it to you like in a cardboard tube, like they would mail a poster, for example. And yeah, if you think of any video game suggestions of marquees, I want popular ones, big popular sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Familiar, something people are familiar with from the 1980s. Burger Time, great, yeah. Tapper, Burger Time, Tron, Spy Hunter. Yeah. So a friend of mine put that together, and you see it's lit up pretty well. It looks fantastic here. If I unplug it, I don't know if it looks better if I unplug it. Let's see. It actually does look better if I unplug it, doesn't it? Let's leave it unplugged. It looks better in the room when it's lit up, but on camera it looks better turned off because the camera's exposure level is lighting it up for us. Frogger, yeah, Frogger's a good one. Space Invaders is a good one. Tempest is a good one. Asteroids, classic. Space Invaders, classic. Ms. Pac-Man, of course. Iconic. Yes, James Goodrum, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Arcade games that were iconic, not obscure. For me, Gorf. Gorf was a popular one, but I know a lot of people don't know Gorf. A friend of mine used to play Rush and Attack. Kind of pronounced it Rush and Attack. And Berserk, Battlezone, Elevator Action, 1942, Q*bert, Ghosts and Goblins, Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Track and Field, Battlezone, Dragon's Lair, Centipede, Millipede, Pong. Hey, you can't ever forget Pong, right? That's one I should get. Double Dragon is another one. Moon Cresta wasn't really that popular. Star Castle I like, but I know a lot of people, if you see Star Castle, you'll probably know it, but a lot of people, unless you Google it, you probably won't know it by its name. Mario Brothers, oh, good example. Although for me, the original Mario Brother is Donkey Kong. That's where it all started. A lot of people suggesting Asteroids and Pong. I think for sure I will put those on my ordering list. I did add a link. I think I've added it to the video notes as well for production equipment. Some people, they're wondering how to contribute to the channel. They don't want to use PayPal. I don't want you guys sending me a check. If a check bounces, it costs me $35, right? So that's the opposite effect. So I don't want to take any chances with checks. So what I got, I added some items to the production wish list. Some are very inexpensive, things like pens and mice, little, keyboard mouse combos. Because at one point, the only thing in the production list, or rather the cheapest thing in the production list was like $1,000. And I wasn't making it publicly available or promoting it because I don't expect anybody to be that generous. That being said, there's items in there And you know, if you want to send something through Amazon, then you can certainly do that. But please include your name so I can give you credit, unless you don't want credit, because I like to say thank you specifically to the person. But if you don't want that recognition, then I'll just say thank you to whoever did it. But it is in there for those who want to contribute. And those who don't, you don't feel obligated. It's not panhandling. It's just a way for people to show appreciation if they want to. And if you don't want to or you can't, I'm cool with that. It's good. Outrun. Oh, yeah, with the Ferrari. Yeah, Outrun was a fun game. I wasn't really much into driving games outside of maybe Pole Position and Spy Hunter. Road Blaster, I think, was another one. Missile Command, yeah. Space Ace. Lunar Lander and Zaxxon, yeah. So I've got an arcade machine in the back, and I've showed it. I've got a video called How to Build a Gaming Computer for Under $100, and it's essentially building your own arcade cabinet, and it'll never go obsolete, it'll never overheat. Mine even takes quarters, so I have an authentic, right out of the arcade machine, very similar to what I've spent hours and hours and hours and hundreds of dollars in quarters playing in my teenage years. It's sort of like a friend I had growing up, and it's got 60 games built into it, and they're all genuine. They're not poorly emulated. I mean, they're just spot on. And I've talked about it, but if you want more information on that, just search on my channel, and you'll find that. HVAC Trucker Rodney's generously contributed $20. Let's make sure Trucker Rodney is a moderator. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you very much. Carey, did you ever get the capture card figured out for your trip in September? No, I have not. I haven't even looked at it. That's how busy I've been. I've been using one for a week. It was only $100. I can post a link. Yeah, well, just tell me what the name. Well, post a link and tell me what the name of it is. If it's Elgato or it's Magewell, I'm already familiar with it, but I'd be curious what you're using. Edward says, I just finished editing the 2 judge videos. How should I send it? Well, Edward, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can email me directly, and I'll share a link to my Google Drive where you can upload it. Please make sure it is uploaded in 1080 HD. Or you can upload it to your own YouTube channel and send me a link to it, and then I can grab it from there. I can only grab it at 720, but you know, it's all good. And then any notes you want me to include with credit for you for being the editor, let me know how you want to be referred to. And if you have your own YouTube channel you want people to subscribe to, I'm happy to provide any of that information, obviously. I appreciate your time and effort. And of course, I'm not going to tell you without looking at it that I'm going to post it. But if you did a good job, not only will I post it, I'll be asking you to do it some more. You know, Crazy Vera's been editing, and he's doing such a fantastic job. And he was editing on a Pentium D with 2 gigs of RAM. And when you edit an hour-and-a-half video, or you edit a video down to an hour-and-a-half on a system that old, you must be a saint when it comes to patience. Crazy Vera emailed me, said, I can't do any more edits for you because my old system gave up the ghost. And a viewer, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the viewer, if you're in here you can certainly shout out, sent me an X99 motherboard and chip with 32 gigs of RAM, and I think they were just frustrated with it and they didn't want it anymore, whatever the reason. I put that into a Corsair 200R case, threw a power supply in it and a cooler, and 2 of the sticks of RAM are bad, and I'm in the process of getting those 2 sticks replaced. Well, actually 1 stick is bad, but they can only replace it in pairs. And I just sent the system to Crazy Vera a couple days ago. Crazy Vera's in Texas, so Phoenix to Texas should only take about 3 days. And it's like, imagine going from like a tricycle to a crotch rocket, you know, like a high-end Kawasaki. He's basically going to take a great big leap in performance. And Crazy Vera also sent me a couple of licenses for Pinnacle Studio for video editing. I don't like it, but you know, it was nice of him to do that. I'm still using Cyberlink Power Director 17 in my video edits, and it was on sale the other day. It was $48 for the subscription, and the subscription's the way to go so that you always have the latest version, and they have a lot of add-ons like transition scenes and overlays that you can spend a half an hour just downloading these add-ons and putting all these plugins into Power Director, which is fantastic. I have no doubt Pinnacle is a wonderful program. I'm just not familiar with it, and I just don't have time to learn it. I'd rather get to a program I'm familiar with and crank the videos out rather than say, hey guys, sorry there hasn't been any new video edits. It's been over a month because I'm still figuring this out. You know what I mean? So anyway, super shout out and thank you to Crazy Vera for all the work he's done. James Zender has contributed $20. You always give good stuff. Everybody contributing today, if you haven't got a case badge and you would like one, please email me, tell me who you are, so I have a reference point to know that you contributed. Along with your full mailing address, I'd be happy to send you a case badge if you want one. And so super thank you to everybody supporting, whether you support through sharing the links on social media, whether you support through contributions, whether you support through video submissions. Like I say, like folks like Reverend John O'Toole made a video, I'm helped. Who else does that on YouTube, by the way? Who else acts so unselfishly to say, I realize you probably don't have any subscribers or it's just friends and family. So if you make content, who's going to see it? So if you share the video with me and it's a good quality video, I will share it with my audience. I will monetize it, but let's be straight. I'm not getting rich from it. I might make $1, a month from it. But at the same time, you get the attention of a bigger audience, and I tell people if you like this guy, subscribe to him. Who else on YouTube will do that? And that's just part of the community. Everybody wins. And then if at some point somebody says, Carey, I don't want that video up anymore, I take it down. I'm not going to say no. So it's not like you're signing a contract to a gym or something and you're locked in. Matt says, I contributed, can I get a case badge? You have to email me. I cannot handle that in a live chat. You'll have to email me. You can find my email address in the top right of tech-vets.com. Rick says, I just bought a t-shirt for $24.99. Right on, Rick. I hope you'll like it. Stealth Mode very kindly has told Reverend John O'Toole, you get a great vid you made earlier on cloning drives. He absolutely did. And it's wonderful for you guys to not be critical of each other. Because you know what? You can find that from any stranger. That requires no effort. You know what I mean? But when somebody puts the effort forward to make a video, and that's what cracks me up. I got people making comments that sit there and tell me how great and wonderful they are and how they would do the job better than me. But they've got no subscribers, they've got no comments, and they're not even using their real name in their YouTube channel name. So why in the world do they think that their opinion matters? You understand? Like if somebody's got a big channel, if Eli the Computer Guy or Jay's 2 cents comes to me and says, I didn't like this, I can see where that's coming from. I get an idea of the validity of the statement. But when somebody with no viewers, no subscribers, and no videos tells me how to do my job, that's a quick delete. Nick has provided a link to the capture card. What is it? Oh, this is different. I haven't seen this one. But this has an HDMI in and out. I don't need an HDMI out. I just need HDMI in. I realize I don't have to use the HDMI out. How much is it? $115.99. It's USB 3.1. Reviews don't look too good. They don't look too good. Device runs hot. Well, in all fairness, I haven't seen a USB HDMI capture card that does not run hot. So I'm not quite sure why they gave it 3 stars. 5 stars. Says it's a lagless pass-through. Don't need the pass-through. 4 stars. Says it's pretty good. A few things. Device gets really hot. Audio is pretty good. It seems a little weird, but if you edit the video and run it through an editing program and render it, it should fix the audio. Well, then that's not working for me. If I have to go through that, no. Here's one, 2 stars. Honestly thought it would be great, but it wasn't. I saw it on YouTube. It wasn't enough reviews for it. If you want something good, probably try the Elgato. Here's one that's 5 stars. Didn't take me too long to figure it out. Started using OBS. It's less stress on my computer, but it works well. I use it for gaming. 2 stars. I can't tell you how many stars this should get. I could not get it to work. It was not compatible. Okay, well then that doesn't seem like the 2 stars should be on you. 4 stars, even though it's made with metallic parts, the USB-C port feels very slimsy, but it does the job. That's kind of crude. It works well, but it doesn't look like it would. So I'm going to ding it. You got to read these reviews carefully, guys. But I have to tell you, I have a recent bad experience with something that had an average of sort of a 50-50 like and dislike ratio. And as a result of that, if I see that now, I'm a bit shy to pull the trigger. But I appreciate the suggestion just the same. I never had to fix the video. Nick, I didn't say anything about the video. I said the audio. And if you're not talking through a wireless mic like I am, you just saw the audio issues I just dealt with, right? But until I get my hands on it and see if it meets my needs, and this is what we talk about all the time is, you know, what works for one person may not work for another person, and it doesn't mean that person's wrong or the other person's wrong. And that's why there's so many different devices out there. That's why there's so many different CPUs and motherboards and storage choices. It's to meet the expectations and requirements and budgets of the individual, not of everybody. It's not a one size fits all. So truth be told, until I get one in my hands and experiment with it, I really don't know if it's a good suggestion or not. But based on those reviews, at $116, I'm reluctant to spend any time and money to test it. I need something, you know, where everybody's mostly on board with it. And maybe over time those reviews will improve, I don't know. But I'm going to try and get the Blackmagic device working. I haven't given up on that yet, but until I get Franklin's machine done, I got another machine waiting in the wings to follow, and another machine after that, and another machine after that. And then if no other work comes in as far as computer builds or repairs, and I do believe there's a couple repairs coming in, but we'll see if people follow through. You know, there's a lot of people who say, I'm going to send this to you, and then they never do. So I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Then I can get back to work on the Blackmagic. I have until September to figure it out. So again, I appreciate the suggestion. I just don't have the time right now to play. Oh, aren't you, Mr. Busy? Ooh. I know. Missed a contribution. Tony Wallow, again, Tony, you're up to like $80, man. Thank you. You know that YouTube's taken 30% of every contribution you're giving me, right? So of that 80, I will see 50. So did I do the math right? 30 times 80. 8, 16, 24. 24 minus 80, 60, 56. If you use the donate button at PayPal, I will get more of your contribution because PayPal only takes 3%. YouTube makes me wait 30 to 60 days before I see the money, and they don't even clarify to me when they're sending it. Like when I get a YouTube payment, it doesn't break it down into this is how much revenue is representing contributions. But on PayPal, I get the money instantly. They take only 3%, and I can refund it. And I can't do that here on YouTube. So just be aware of that. And any contributions I appreciate. So I don't want to sound like I'm not. But you know, contributions that are under $20 are great through Super Chat. But the minute you exceed $20, if you want more of it to come to me and you want me to have it faster, please use the donate button at PayPal. And of course, anybody's contributing that wants a case badge, please email me and let me know who you are and when you contributed. I'd be more than happy to send you one. I really would. I have a lot of them. And they cost me the same. So I pay one price to mail the case badges in the continental United States, well, anywhere in the United States. And then I pay another price, a flat rate price, to mail the case badges literally anywhere in the world. There is no place, as far as I know, that I can't mail a case badge to for the same price. It's just a letter. And they usually arrive pretty quickly, and usually within 10 days of when I mail it. I had been stopped because these contributions come in unexpectedly. I don't file them when I receive them. I wait until Mondays. Fridays or Mondays when I can sit down and just go through them and fill them all out at once. So please be patient, and if more than 3 weeks goes by and you've not received a case badge, please let me know. You could have had a typo in your mailing address, could have got lost in the mail, whatever. I'll send you another one, it's no big deal. If you want one, I want to make sure you have one. And again, thank you guys for all your support. And Jim just posted a PayPal link to the contribution page, which is another way. But in the PayPal, when you donate, please be sure there's like a little section for notes. Please include your email address in there. That would make my life so much easier. And I will send anybody who uses PayPal, I will always send you a personal thank you reply in email. It's far more personal. You're not going to get the shout out on a live video, but you will be able to talk to me personally. Mirror Aura has contributed $5. Busy man does whatever a busy man does. I thought it was does whatever a busy man can. Maybe that's Spider-Man or Batman, Superman. It's Carey Man. The judge got his computer yesterday, and the judge said, what did he say? He said something funny. He said it's so silent, he has to check the lights to make sure it's on. He said watching me build it was like Chinese water torture. Because he wanted his hands on it, you know? I was like, oh, look at that. I want it, I want it, I want it. I love that. I love when customers show that enthusiasm. And he had a chance, to fire it up and play around with it a little bit, and he is very, very happy, and that makes me very, very happy. Dun, 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 dun. I'm so proud. Nothing wrong with pride. Don't let ego get in the way, and if you're misinterpreting this as ego, then I'm doing a poor job of communicating. Dennis is sending me a fake IRS number. Dennis, there is no shortage of these numbers. You can go to badnumbers.info and you can see about 100 of these numbers posted every single day. I know you're trying to help by saying, hey, here's one. Trust me, they're very easy to find and they're always changing every day. The scam is not going away anytime soon. We can't call them all, man. So just write it off. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. In the future, we'll do some more with scammers. When I do, there's very easy to find numbers. Very easy. They're not hard to find. But I know where you're coming from, and I appreciate it. Catherine says, I made the list for the judge. Indeed, Catherine did. And my apologies for not giving Catherine the proper shout out. She absolutely helped with the build and further helped with regards to the temperature issues that we were running on the 9700K, both with Franklin's machine behind me and the judge's build, which both were using the 9700K. Catherine stayed up with me until after midnight, my time. I don't know what time it was in Colombia, and helped me, and I can't thank Catherine enough. Boss Peters contributed €4. He says, thanks for the great stream. Reverend John O'Toole wants to know, what if you use webcams instead of your high-end EVGA cameras? It would solve the HDMI to USB conversion. It would also solve the issue of quality. What you have to understand about cameras is the size of the sensor in the camera. You'll notice like people in the news media, they carry these big shoulder-mounted cameras, and they're large image sensors. Now, the bigger the sensor is, the less light the camera needs, and so your picture becomes much better. So I've got a Canon G20, Canon G30, Canon G40, and when the sun outside starts to go down, or if we have a dark day, I'm surrounded with windows here in the kitchen, and the camera is very sensitive to that. The whole kitchen gets dark, and no matter how many lights I have on, unless I set up studio lighting and file the divorce paperwork, the only thing I can do is get a camera with a larger sensor. Web cameras have an extraordinarily tiny little sensor, so you just have to have a whole lot of light. They're also very difficult to do any sort of zoom-ins, close-ups, and that sort of thing. And they're fine if you're just using Skype, you know. I haven't gone to 4K yet because the video size is so enormous. However, I do see that in the near future. And again, I expect to buy a camera with a very large CMOS sensor so that the low light, you'd be amazed how much light a camera needs. And the more you zoom a camera in, the more you telescope a camera, the more light it needs. And so zoom-ins get very, very difficult and almost impossible. I don't think you can even zoom a webcam. You can do like a digital zoom. It's horrific. It's just terrible. It is a case of you get what you pay for. Will it work? Yes. Will it work to my level of what I demand of quality and clarity? Absolutely not. But the right tool for the right job. I don't need to use this to talk to you on Skype. I don't need a $900 or $1,000 camera and a $600 microphone to use Skype. I will use it because I've got it, and the picture and sound quality are far superior than a webcam. But a webcam is good enough for that purpose. When you've got an audience of 743 people watching you live, they're more likely to come back if they can see. What's annoying is shooting in HD, I have people go, you know, the clock on your microwave and the clock on your oven are off by 34 seconds. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing looking at the clocks on the microwave? You should be paying attention to me. I'm trying to teach you something. Hello? Are you there? That's the beauty of shooting in HD. Not to mention 8K televisions are coming out. That means 8K cameras. You know, the very minute I upgrade my camera and downgrade my wallet to buy a 4K camera, you know they're going to be wondering where the 8K camera is. And as I get older, I'm not getting any better looking. I don't think you want to see my face in 8K. I know I don't. And I have to look at it. Well, when I look in the mirror. Verd Mahoney says, $20 PayPal to you, Carey. You are the high spot of my day. Thank you, Vern. Thank you very much. John says, I can't stop watching the Pac-Man thing. John, over here, buddy. Squirrel. Squirrel. Focus. Come on. Focus. It's getting late in the UK. Is this going to be part 4? Yes, that's what the title says. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm just saying hello. This is the monologue that's dragging on for 56 minutes. Don't worry. This video, the whole part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4 will be eventually edited down into one video with all this nonsense cut out of it. So for those of you who don't like to hang around for the chit chat, you're all business. I appreciate that. Stick around, watch the channel, and you will eventually see this build edited and cut together in one piece. So, you know, trying to please everybody, right? Some people like what I'm doing now. Some people don't. Some people like the edits. Some people don't. So I don't want to alienate anybody. I want to please everyone. Despite the impossibility of that task, I'm still going to try, and I'll never stop trying. Your ISP and data cap would not appreciate a 4K live stream. I called my ISP, and for an extra $50 a month, they've removed the data cap. So let's open the taps and flood them 24/7. No data cap, baby. Wasn't this full a minute ago? Bob Hawk. You're going to be Ed McMahon for me, Bob? How about a little ASMR? You know I'm only doing 2 of these a day, right? You know that. This is it for the rest of the day. Jason says the $50 for no data cap sounds similar to Xfinity. Yeah, we've got Cox Cable out here, and I never had a data cap until this year. And I'm like, well, that should apply to new customers. I've been a customer for 10 years. This is how you appreciate my loyalty, by charging me more for what I've already had. Oh, and you can upgrade your bandwidth. Well, if I upgrade the bandwidth, do I get more of a data cap? No. So I have a terabyte limit, but you can upgrade my bandwidth, my speed, so I can hit that terabyte limit sooner, so you can bill me for the overages sooner. So I'm going to pay more so you can bill me more. Is that how that works? Well, that's not the way we see it. Well, that's the way I see it. Well, you could pay $50 and go back to being where you were. So basically, I had a $50 rate increase. Carey, you're a jerk. Hey, I get along fine with everybody who leaves me alone. Just saying. Drink that Coke slowly. I know, savor it, right? Irving says it's the same here in France. Yeah, what a shame. Brendan says, can I link a pic of my build? Unfortunately, Brandon, because you're not a moderator, the links can't be posted here. But after the video, if you know, I really don't like having links that take people off my channel. If you want to send, I'll tell you what, if you want to send me good photos, like it can't be dark or crooked, I need to see it. You know, show different angles, put a little story behind it, write to me and say, this is what I built, this is the first build or the third build, whatever it is, these are the parts and this is why I selected them. This was easier than expected, or this was harder than expected. If I had to do it again, I changed this or I changed that. And then give me permission to share the photos in your story, and I will read it aloud and show the photos. And I would offer that to all of you. We're a community. We want to support each other. We're not going to sit here and tell you, you shouldn't have bought that or you shouldn't have done this. Nobody's doing that here, and if they do, they're getting booted out. Well, I'll warn them, but that's not what we do. I mean, you could say it nicely, don't get me wrong. You can say, hey man, did you ever consider? You should place it as a question, because there could be reasons why somebody selected something, and you, without asking the questions, it comes off very presumptuous. And that's not supportive. That's not how a supportive community works. So if you truly intend to help somebody, ask questions. But yes, I love doing that. Where would we write to you? So at tech-vets.com, you can see email links right there to contact us. Basically, it's just Carey@tech-vets.com. C-A-R-E-Y. Somebody can type it in the chat. Can Rush says, pretty good here in Moscow. I've got a terabit for about $10 a month with unlimited bandwidth. Ugh. I hate Russia. Bet your vodka tastes good too. What other stereotypes can I come up with? You know, Putin, he was so good in the band Dire Straits. Look at Mark Knopfler and look at Putin. Put them side by side. I think it's the same guy. Catherine says, I ask a lot of questions when making the parts list. That's what makes Catherine so awesome. Catherine doesn't just go, here's what you need. Catherine has to ask you, what's your budget? Catherine even says, what country do you live in? So she can get the parts list from a place where you can buy from in your country to stay within your budget, rather than, you know, pointing you to Newegg or something where you can't buy from there, and then there's a conversion of, you know, whatever your cash is to what Newegg does. I'm getting sort of a weird color on my live stream. It says it's orange instead of green. I wonder why it's orange. Is the video okay? It's not good. It says, so the orange means the video quality is just okay. There's 3 levels. Gray means YouTube's not receiving data. Red is bad. It means those videos got serious issues. Orange is just okay. Viewers may be experiencing minor issues. And then green is good. Your viewers are happy. And I've been seeing orange for some time. And OBS says it's all green. I did crank the audio and video settings up, like I said, where it should be at 60 frames per second now. So my CPU usage used to be at 5%. Now it's at 12. It's bouncing between 11 and 12%, but still plenty of overhead. I see 0 dropped frames, and we've been going strong live now for 1 hour and 5 minutes. There is slight blurring. That's interesting because one of the settings that one of the settings I had in OBS increased the video quality, but it may cause blurring. And I said, okay, let's put the emphasis on video quality, but it seems that that's creating blurring I didn't have before. Or maybe it's just the 60 frames a second. I really don't need to be at 60 frames per second. This is not a high action sports broadcast, so you don't need, it's not like a tennis ball leaving a tail or something. So I might turn that off, but I wanted to try it and see how it's working. But everybody says the video and sound is fine, and now we have color issues. What's wrong with the color? Color looks good to me. Not as sharp as 1080 usually is. That's interesting. I'll have to play a little bit more with the OBS. It was supposed to be sharper. OBS maybe has a different definition of sharp than I do. Of course, it does make the bandwidth, depending on what resolution you're watching in. You can click in the lower right corner of the video and there's a little gear and you can adjust the quality. It's like right now I just realized I'm watching in 480. I didn't even realize that because it looks good to me. I'm not watching in full screen. I'm going to put it up to 1080 and see if that helps. But remember, the higher the resolution is, the more bandwidth you need on your side to capture all of that. Give me just a second. Apologize for that little interruption. I thought I had another package at the door. I expect the minute we get started, it'll happen. The Pac-Man sign looks blurrier. It looks pretty darn sharp to me. Let me take a look when I go full screen, because I'm looking at the YouTube feed. I don't know, man. I think it looks pretty good. I think the Coca-Cola, you know what that could be? Hold on a minute, before we get started. Let me just make a change to something here. I'm going to move the camera, so hold steady. We're moving. We're moving. Let's see. Function. Now you know what it feels like to be a smartphone. All right, function. White balance. You. Ooh. Oh. No. Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm. I'm right at about, so I'm adjusting the color temperature manually. I'm right at about 4300K right now. It certainly doesn't make the colors pop a lot. I like the saturation to be a little deeper, but sometimes it can have the effect that things look blurry to some people. Let me take a look. What do you guys think of that? That's 4300K color temperature. MJE says, Carey is so beautiful. MJE, seriously, you need to see an eye doctor. Unless you're talking about my personality. Slightly red. That's because I'm angry. I'm not angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I'm pink. I was out in the sun with Subaru Mike filming some engine work. Mike, I think, is part lizard. I don't know how he goes out in that sun. If you look at the tile in the back, you will see it blur and unblur. I think that's something with the camera or OBS. Try 5700K. You know what 5700K is? I'm going to remember 4300, but I just want to show you. We're going to crank this up to 5700. 55, 6, 57. That's very, very red, don't you think? That's 5700 and everything looks overly saturated to me. It looks very red tinted. I'm going to leave it here for a minute so you guys have time. Like I say, it's about 90 seconds between when I do something and when you see it. Carey smash. That's funny. Yeah, it's orangey. I agree. Yeah, that's 5700. Let's go between 4300 and let's try 49. That's 4900. 4900 looks like it's got a little more depth, a little more color. I am hot and I am red, so that's a more accurate. So right there, we're at 4900K. What I'm looking at is that the Pac-Man sign back there. And it does, you know, the more you saturate the colors, the more it sort of bleeds. Go back to 4300. Just so you know, this is 3900. And now everything feels darker to me. But I'm not the one who has to watch it, so I don't know. That's 3900K. Stay at 43, 45. Irving likes it. Try black and white. Right on. I wonder if I crank the colors. I just want to play with that. What if I turned it down all the way? No. That's 2000K. That's 4,000. 4,000. Wow, I like 4,000. I don't care what you think. We're staying with 4,000. If you don't like it, get some rose-tinted colored glasses. That's a big change from 5,300, I think I was at, down to, what did I say, 3,900? Remember, depending on the sunlight outside, it affects this camera, and the auto white balance isn't cutting it unless every stream I get a bright white piece of paper like maybe this, and I manually set the white balance and let the camera auto adjust. But as I stream throughout the day and as the sun moves position, this is why there are lighting directors on movie sets, and that's a full-time job with its own crew just for that one task. Pac-Man looks great. Right on, guys. Hey, thank you guys so much for your help in getting my audio and video sorted. Normally, I would ask a friend to help me privately, but we're all friends here, right? You understand that this is not a business production. If you're here just for business and you want to see highly polished videos, YouTube and television is full of that stuff. This is real, and I hope that if you ever want to film something yourself, you understand it's not just a matter of turning on a camera and going, that there are settings with audio, settings with video, and the nicer equipment that you have, the more settings you have to adjust. All right, I'm going to shift the camera back. I said shift, and then we're going to go for a little ride again. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Franklin's like, hello? I'm trying to use the phone. Some of you get that. So I talked with Franklin. We talked about different solutions to this problem. Franklin wanted RGB RAM, and we were originally going with the Dark Rock 4 cooler. The problem with the Dark Rock 4 cooler or the Noctua coolers like the D14, D15 is they intersect with the RAM. And even if we can clear the RAM, it still blocks any access to the sockets that the RAM plugs into. And it also covers the, in a best case scenario, it covers the RAM, so you can't see the RGB because it's under the heatsink. So I said to Franklin, look, we go with black memory in an RGB cooler, or we go with RGB RAM and a stock cooler. So Franklin didn't like the idea that the Mugen 5 was ugly. I don't know how to respond to that. Like, when I build a computer, of course I want it to look aesthetically pleasing, but to a point. You know, I'm not going to chrome it out. You know what I mean? Like a car. I'm not putting hubcaps on a lawnmower. You understand what I'm saying? But I understand, you know, it's my job to meet the customer's expectations, but my customer needs to have realistic expectations given their budget. So it's one or the other. Do you want a pretty cooler? If you want a pretty cooler, we stick with the Kraken because it's got a nice LED RGB thing on it. And we get rid of the RGB RAM because the RAM interferes with the ability for the radiator to go in because it's too tall. The RAM is too tall for the Dark Rock 4 to go in. And even if I could put a Noctua D14 or 15, it would cover the RAM so you couldn't see it anyway. And then it would make repairing or upgrading the RAM very time consuming and more difficult than it needs to be. And those Noctua D14 and 15s don't survive well in shipping. I've shown you guys what happened to one when a customer mailed a system to me with that on there. It basically split in half. So those big heavy coolers hanging on the side of your motherboard over time, I'm not signing up for that. I'm sorry. A lot of people think because of the marketing money behind Noctua and behind Cooler Master and CORSAIR, that Scythe is it's not worth considering. Don't you think it's possible that Scythe simply doesn't have the marketing money and can sell the product for less that's actually equivalent or better than the brands you're familiar with, because the only reason you're familiar with them is the work of a PR company. It's not because you woke up one morning and said, I like Noctua. It's because they have flooded the market with advertising and free samples. So what if you start your own company? Where do you get that money to flood the market with free samples, even if you have the best product possible, the best bargain? How is anybody supposed to know? I'm telling you, Scythe is a sleeper. Buy Scythe before they, get a big head and realize they're selling their product too cheaply. And when they do get the marketing dollars and they do get all that press releases and public relations campaigns to send product out to all kinds of YouTubers and magazines, I guarantee the price goes up because that costs money. So don't for a minute discount a company because you've never heard of them. Yeah, they might be crap, and I expected it to be crap. Little did I know I was about to have my mind blown away. So if you're wondering what happened to my mind, I bought 5 of those Scythe coolers to put in my inventory. That's all you need to know. And I have to warranty these computers, and I'm responsible for them. It's not just me sitting in my kitchen building a computer for myself. You can take that or leave it for whatever that's worth. Anyway, so Franklin said, let's get rid of the RGB RAM. I'd like to have the Kraken X62. I said, you got it, man. It just so happens Newegg had a sale on RAM, and I bought it thinking I'll need this one day. Little did I know, one day was coming a lot sooner than I thought it would. And what I got was this right here, the G.Skill kit of two 16 gig RAM modules. Why would I go with 2 modules instead of 4? Well, let's think about this. A socket 1151, like what we have here, has 4 sockets. Why does it have 4 sockets? Well, this chip in the family of chips, both in Ryzen and Intel, the consumer-based family, you can have a maximum memory capacity of 64 gigs of RAM. How can you get to 64 gigs of RAM? What is the largest memory module you can buy? To the best of my knowledge, when you go to Newegg or Amazon, I believe higher capacity memory modules are available for specialty purposes, but for the consumers, 16 gigs is the largest single memory module you can buy. So if you want to max out the chip's ability with 64 gigs, the only way you can get there is with 4 sticks of 16. Oh wait, will you do that math? So why go to 4 sticks of 8? So here we got 32. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Franklin wants 32 gigs of RAM. So Franklin can get there by going with 2 sticks of 16 or 4 sticks of 8. Oh wait, will you do the math? What happens when you go with 4 sticks of 8? You use more power. You have 4 sticks of RAM that can go bad instead of 2 sticks of RAM that can go bad. If you want to upgrade your RAM, you will have to remove memory. If you go with 4 sticks of 8, you don't have any available slots anymore. Not only are you consuming more power, you're generating more heat, and you've doubled your chances for a RAM failure from 2 sticks to 4 sticks. Now you have 4 sticks of RAM that can fail instead of 2 sticks of RAM that can fail. If you want to upgrade, when you put 2 sticks in, he's going to have 2 slots available. And as long as his heat sink's not covering those slots up, all he has to do is open the machine and slap 2 more sticks of 16. And that's the most this motherboard can ever have. If he needs more than 64, he needs to wait for another chip in the future that isn't developed yet, or he needs to go to the Socket 2011 or Threadripper series family of chips. So all this memory comes out. I realize somebody's noticing these 2 modules are together. This isn't a process of work. No, one is in one channel, one is in the other channel, and because I removed, if you've been following this video series, I've already removed 2 to clear room to get the cooler out. I couldn't get the cooler out with these in. Now that Franklin has advised me, because I didn't know, am I putting those 2 in or am I taking these 2 out? I left it until I heard back from the customer. The customer now has replied, they want the memory out. So I'm going to make a trade. This is the nice guy I am, despite what you've heard. I'm going to trade memory, even Stevens. Even though Franklin's memory costs more and is worth more, I don't have any need for RGB RAM. And I don't have to use 4 of these. Like I could build a customer system with 16 gig and pop 2 of these in and build another customer system with the other 2. Because most customers really, 16 gigs is typically what I build unless somebody really has an extreme need or just a lot of money burning a hole in their pocket. So I'm predicting that I will reuse this RAM in pairs, but it's entirely possible, a call comes in or an email comes in and somebody wants 32 and they want the RGB and I'll offer it to them. I obviously can't offer it to them at cost. I have to reduce the price because now it's used. So somebody's going to get a good deal on some RAM. And at the very least, I have it for diagnostic purposes. If I'm testing something and I think the RAM may be bad, if nothing more, I'll have it on my shelf to swap it out. 4 times 16 is 32. Man, somebody's not good at math. Wow. Let's see. 16 plus 16 is 32. Plus 16 is 48. Plus 16 is 64. 2 times 32 is 64. Hey, don't let that stop you from putting in Listen, the chat room is open and you can say anything preposterous you want to say, I'm going to hope that was a typo, because it's really insulting when you try and correct somebody and you're not even close. It's kind of funny. Oh, the internet. I love the internet. I don't want to leave a ring on that. I'm taking that bottle down. Corsair RAM is not very good. Really? So the guy building computers for 27 years that uses Corsair RAM, you're going to override my opinion? You use a fake name. We don't know who you are. But as far as you're concerned, Corsair RAM is not good, and you're just going to tell everybody that. But the guy who's been doing it for 27 years, the guy who's responsible for building the machine, the guy who's responsible for warrantying the machine, never mind what he has to say. Okay. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. We don't do that anymore? Whatever. Carey, don't do that. It's not a thing. It was a thing. It's not a thing anymore. That was like a long time ago. Feels like yesterday. Well, it wasn't. I'm just going to have a conversation with myself. Is he going to do any work? Maybe I won't. What are you going to do about it? He's so aggressive. Carey, I'll give you $1 per gig for those 2 sticks. Why don't you just kick me in the crotch? It sounds like a better deal. Salty. You know, it wouldn't kill you guys to say, in my opinion, and then you can say whatever you want, right? Just you got to add those words, in my opinion, because otherwise it sounds like you're making fact. You're making statements that are fact. And that's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. He said, when people write on the internet, they should preface an opinion as such. It's not true. But if he was alive today, that's what he would say. That and leave my kite alone. You want a cookie? Do you want a cookie? Oh, here comes Jimmy. Oh, yeah, shake it off. We're going to get some cookies up in here. All right. Who's giving? Tony? Tony Wallow says, you guys need a cookie. Come here. All right. Paw. Come on. All right. You're going to split a cookie. Here's for you. Go. Give me your paw. My boy. That's my boy. Give me your sideways eyes. Jimmy and Lyle say, woof, woof, rough. Woof, rough. Tony, thank you for, again, I think Tony's up to $85 today, all by himself. Today's show is being brought to you by Tony Wallow. Al says, in my opinion, you are a funny guy. Does that make me a mushroom? Oh no, that's a fungi. Sorry. Thin mints. I went online last night. This late at night ordering has to stop. And I saw the thin, I ate the last of the Thin Mints, my wife's going to kill me. I better order some more, and I don't know where the Girl Scout stand is. They move around a lot. So they probably sell them on Amazon, and sure enough, the Thin Mints are there. And it's like $8 a box or something for like 3 boxes. I'm like, well, 3 boxes won't last long. I need like 4, right? So I saw like what I thought was 4 boxes, and I clicked on it. The description wasn't really clear. In fact, the description hadn't been updated because it said, you know, fresh from 2017. So I'm making an assumption that they originally listed it in 2017 and that this isn't 2017 product. This morning I woke up and said, your case of Girl Scout cookies is on its way. And I went, wait a minute, what do you mean case? 12 boxes of Thin Mints are coming my way. You really got to read the details. But you know, my wife, I said, I accidentally ordered a case of those Thin Mints. I didn't mean to. But you can take some to work and share them with the people at work. She goes, we'll probably get sick of them. And I said, let's just hope we do. I can't believe I did that. I cannot believe. So yeah, I got a case of Thin Mints coming. Can't believe I did that. Whew, it's hot in here. Stephen Bernstein says, mods, please listen to Sharon. Thank you, Stephen Bernstein. I agree. Mods, please listen to Sharon Idle. Alpha 6 says, retired vet from Republic of Panama here. Cheers to everyone. Hello, Alpha 6. So much for the diet, wet diet. Daryl, be nice. Be nice, Daryl. Come on. Thin Mints for everybody. Case of Thin Mints. Can you imagine being the UPS driver who's got to deliver to my house? It's this guy again. Does he order anything light? I had a UPS driver deliver this 100-pound box. He goes, what is this, lead? And I'm like, actually, it's bullets for a gun, so it is lead. I can send a box with a case badge. Yeah, it'll cost me more to ship than it would cost to just buy the box locally, but yeah. And thank goodness I ordered them in the wintertime, because if I order those Thin Mints in the summertime, I'm just gonna have a box of goop. It'll all just melt. I'll just have one big cookie in each box. Or at least, each row would be just solidified into one thing from 120-degree weather in a hot truck that's not air conditioned. Yeah, been there, done that. Are Thin Mints like After 8 Mints we have in the UK? They're similar. They're Girl Scout cookies. In America, we got Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. Always be prepared. And you support this nonprofit organization that teaches kids things like always be prepared. And they have 2 bakeries in the United States. Depending on where you live in the United States, the cookies can taste a little different because there's only 2 bakeries, like one bakery for the west side and one bakery for the east side. And some people prefer one bakery over the other, but the boxes don't identify, when you look at the box, they look all the same. But they're not very minty. They're not overpowering. I think the After 8 Mints have a lot of mint, very strong mint. These are very mild, and so they go down very easily, and you can put them in the freezer and they don't get hard. They just get cold and they stay crumbly and crunchy, just like normal room temperature. The texture doesn't change. I don't know how they do that. So you take a box of Girl Scout Thin Mints, you stick that in a freezer, and it's very refreshing, and you can eat too many because, again, it's not overpowering. David says, I came here to watch a PC build and stay to enjoy the banter. Thank you. Now you know why my name's Carey, right? I got a little carried away with the Girl Scout cookies. Niels Vandesand has contributed €2. He says, I love, in my opinion, I like IMO. That's how easy it is. IMO. I love the Pac-Man box behind you. Thank you, Niles. Not just a river in Egypt, are you? Rob says, I'll take 4 boxes off you when we meet at Denny's. I'd like to see a try. No, it's good. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. 4 boxes won't last long. I actually intended to order 4. That was my goal. I don't know how, I don't know what I did. I think, now that I see the price per box, I got a good deal. If they're not from 2017. Then that would explain the price, but I'm pretty sure they're not from 2017. I think they just didn't update the listing. I can only be hopeful at this point. That's all I have. Justin Havu says, I just built a PC for my church's sound engineer. I had to send the RAM back as one module was bad. That happens. Should be good to go next week. There you go. I hope, did you enjoy the build, Justin? What did you build? Motherboard, processor, case? What'd you build for the church? How much RAM and what kind of RAM? And was the return process easy? Were they easy to get a hold of? Were they cooperative? That's important because every manufacturer makes a bad product. It's how they deal with it that separates the men from the boys. Rob says, the deal's off if they're from 2017. Hey. Maybe I should just tell you they're from 2017 so I can hoard them all to myself regardless. Daryl Mays contributed 20 bucks. He says, trying to help others can be an uphill job. Yeah, you know the story of Sisyphus? Look that up. Talk about an uphill job. Thank you for the contribution. I do appreciate it. Smoky bacon crisp time. Oh, Mick, don't you dare tease me about those Walker's smoky bacon crisps. Oh my God. Am I drilling? It's like Pavlov's dogs. Do you have to pay for shipping if you aren't an Amazon member? Do I look like I work for Amazon? There's a meme. Amazon has free shipping available for orders, I think, over $25, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I look, between a Costco membership and an Amazon Prime membership, in my opinion, in the way that I use it, Amazon Prime is well worth it because I got the Amazon Prime television. I get to watch the Grand Tour. I get to watch all these television shows. There's free books from Kindle on my Kindle reader, and I have the free Prime shipping. And I think there's a couple other benefits as well, but I don't use them. I don't think I use them. I was hoping the Amazon Prime Music was available because I would use that, but I'm stuck on Spotify, and my Spotify playlists are available if anybody is interested. I've got sort of an 80s playlist, and I've got sort of a generic playlist of music that I just like. There's like 3 or 4, and they're all public playlists, but you have to sort of go to Spotify and find them. But they're available if you're interested. And if you think of an 80s song that was popular or a rock song that I'm missing, please let me know. I know sometimes the songs don't work. Sometimes the licensing gets revoked. I don't care about that. Like if I have a song that's not playing, you don't have to tell me. Some bands, like I think Def Leppard, you can only get, and I might be wrong, but I'm just saying that you can only get remakes of the song from other people. I don't know why bands do that. It's just shooting themselves in the foot. But that happens. Andrew Johnson just contributed £5. Thank you to Andrew. Have I tried Smith's Smoky Bacon Rasher? No. What's a rasher? Can you get those crisps on Amazon? Yeah, for $5, John, you can order them on Amazon and they ship from London. The problem is they ship you, so it's a bag about this big and you think, oh, look at all those chips. But when you open it up, it's 6 small vending machine size bags about yay big. Because, you know, they're British. So after about 6 minutes and I've eaten all 6 bags, I'm like, I gotta go back to Amazon. And they're cheap. I mean, for the price of the box and the shipping, the chips are basically free at that price. And it does take a while for them to arrive because they're coming from Britain. Like the return address is London. So it's a little treat to myself every now and again. That and some beef jerky. Not tender beef jerky. I like hard beef jerky. The kind you have to really chew and use the saliva in your mouth to get it going. Thin kind of beef jerky where you bend it, it breaks in half. Salt and pepper, no teriyaki, no barbecue, just salt and pepper, thin, bend it, break it in half, crunch it. There's a company called AJ's Montana Bananas. That's what it's called. Type it all one word, AJAYS MONTANABANANAS. AJ's Montana Bananas.com. And he has a salt and pepper cowboy style beef jerky, and I order it by the baker's dozen. You get 13 bags, and I would eat it all the time, so I try and ration myself. And I go, okay, once every few months, I'll spend $100 to get 13 bags of this beef jerky that typically sell for $8 a bag at the store. And 13 times 8, you can see it's a pretty good deal, and I don't have to go to the store. I'm just never going to leave my house again. Guys are really making me hungry. Why are you doing this to me? What have I ever done to you? I almost got a bag of Jack Link's beef jerky. See, Jack Link's beef, everybody's got their own thing, but it's too tender. I don't want tender beef jerky. I want it dry, like I want to bend it and have it break. Ah, there's a link, alleged. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Elhaj Tepej? It's the best I got. Is it Carey Holzman? It's all good. Richard says, Carey, I just love your dogs. Oh, thank you. You want some hair? Some dog hair? It's a free condiment on everything you eat in the house. The 3 major music labels make $19 million a day from streaming services? I'm in the wrong business. There's a funny colored area on my skin. It's called my face. That's rude. When you complete Franklin's Peak and it run crisis torture test. I don't know what that is. I mean, I know what crisis is, but I don't know what a crisis torture test is, and I'm not going on Steam creating an account to download a game. No. I was just playing Pac-Man. That's not how you spell Pac-Man. You can see how you spell it right there. It's just right there. Anyway, kind words, and he's watching from Portugal. That's where my mother's side of the family is from. I am part Portuguese. And on my dad's side, I believe I'm Hungarian. But Franklin, I am hungry. That much is true. Tony Wallow, another $4.90. What are you up to, 90 bucks now, Tony? He says, here's to life. Well, here's to Tony. Thank you, Tony. You're very generous. Seriously, I mean, I feel like thank you's not enough, but that's all I can do. People never stop complaining. I'm so thirsty. I'm so thirsty. I'm so thirsty. Jesus, let this guy have a drink already. I'm tired of hearing him complain. I was so thirsty. I was so thirsty. Oh my God. Let's get to work. I'll be here all week. Please tip your waiters and waitresses as well. If you don't find this funny, have another drink. Eventually, every time I say the word so, take a drink if you're a legal age and you're not driving anywhere, if you're home for a little while, and before you know it, I'm the funniest guy you ever met. Can ask any of my alcoholics friends. If you're my friend, you probably have to be. All right. Can I get to work? Are we done? Are we done? Do I have your permission to actually work on Franklin's PC and honor the title of this video now? Harry says, did I see his contribution? No, I didn't. Harry contributed $4.99. He says, great stream as always, Carey. Here's more money for your Coca-Cola cravings. What if Amazon said your pellet of cookies is on its way? Well, I'd have a lot of new friends. That much is certain. Honestly, if a pallet of cookies showed up, I think I'd be knocking on neighbors' doors going, would you like some cookies? No, I'm not asking. Don't close the door. I'm not asking for any money. I'm just asking if you want some cookies. Please, would you like some? I ordered a pallet, and I need to get rid of them before they go bad. and I would just probably make a lot of new friends. I mean, if there were that many, I'd probably go down to the elementary school and see if I could donate them to the cafeteria or something. I don't know if they would accept them or not, but I wouldn't attempt to consume them. Please don't send me a pallet of cookies. If that's what you're thinking, please don't do it. I mean, I need real stuff to make better videos. Cookies, my camera lens is only so wide. Okay? I keep having to step further and further back every year. So, just, did I see my contribution in text on this money from Maurice? Is there a contribution from Maurice? No, I'm sorry, Maurice. I don't see anything from you on Super Chat, but if you contributed through PayPal, I respond to you. Any PayPal contributions I respond to in a personal email as long as you've included your email address for me to respond to. And I can't do that while I'm live. I do that later on in the evening or tomorrow. Whenever I have time, I'll go through. Sometimes, like if you send me 99 cents or $99, I respond to everybody. And some days there's like, that can be a job in and of itself. I may have to sit down for an hour. Not that I'm complaining, but that's why there can be a delay. And again, I appreciate all your support and all your contribution. I don't consider them donations. I consider them contributions, and I think that's a very important distinction. Donate them to the local Girl Scout troop so they could sell them again? No, I'm not doing that. You got to be careful with food. A lot of times, like if you go to the grocery store and you buy some food and you take it back, they're not allowed to resell it. I think if it's a canned good and it's not open, but stores got in big trouble with baby formula that was opened, emptied, and then refilled with like flour and water. And so for that reason, stores generally they'll refund your money and then they destroy the food. Yeah. Like if a waiter were to bring you the wrong person's platter and you're looking down on it and you're breathing on it, and you're like, this is not, when you're talking, you're spitting when you talk. Some of us do. I'm sorry, this isn't my food. And then they take and go, oh, sorry, it goes over to this person. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to remake it, or they're just let you have it. Go, you know what, you can keep that. In fact, that happened to us. There's a restaurant I like here, and it's pretty pricey. And they brought us the wrong food. And I said, I thought it was mine, but then they brought my order out. And then I had twice as much food. And I said, this isn't mine. He goes, well, you can have it. I'm like, well, it's the best deal I've had. I'm going to eat it. And then I got about halfway through it, and I'm like, I'm not going to eat it. It's too much food. But the dogs had a good night. I will tell you, boy, did they eat well that night. A couple contributions just came in. Sterling's contributed $2. My cankles love Thin Mints, Sterling says. Christoph Esch, watching us from Germany, says, here's 10 euros, permission granted to get on with the build. And Lurgicus has contributed $5. Dan Ria said, have some Coke and cookie money. Well, thank you, Dan Ria. Acronis is in the house. Hey guys, a super shout out. Give Acronis a thank you for the special they did last month that ended yesterday. They offered you guys, here's what happened. They offered you guys a coupon code for $24.99, so that's half off, right? $24.99 instead of $50 for just a subscription model. And then everybody got confused and really upset when they were trying to buy the non-subscription model. And Acronis said, we'll fix that. And they did. And they said, okay, now that you can buy the subscription model or the non-subscription model for $24.99. And for some reason, apparently they set a limit to how many times that coupon could be used. I guess they weren't expecting the kind of windfall, the kind of response that got. And so again, people are emailing, the coupon code doesn't work. And so Acronis said, oh, you know what? Apparently we set a limit to how many times the coupon code could be used. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That means we blew away their expectations, and it shows the influence potentially that I have. And maybe one day Acronis will want to sponsor me. I'm very cautious of sponsorships, and there's only 2 companies, 3 companies right now, 4 companies that I would take sponsorships from if offered. One is Acronis, one is Scythe, one is Levi's, and one is Coca-Cola. That's it. And to be honest, without sponsorships, you know what you're watching is unbiased and objective. So I'm leery on taking sponsorships from Acronis because you guys might think I'm a sellout, that you guys might think I'm not being honest with you, despite the fact I've been using it since 2009. God forbid I actually really like something in real life. People seem to, they can't fathom why I keep showing Coca-Cola on my video, that it can't possibly be for the reason that I just like it. I must be getting paid. I assure you, it's quite the opposite. I'm giving Coca-Cola a whole lot of money. So, you don't have to believe me. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But you can shout out to Acronis and say thank you to that. They didn't have to do that. And AData, Sharon Idle, you're right. AData, 5 companies. In the world filled with more companies than you can count, there's only 5 companies I'd take a sponsorship from today. AData, Acronis. What was the other one? Scythe, Coke, Levi's. That's it. That's all I'm interested in. Nobody else. But in the meantime, my viewers, you're my audience. You're my sponsors, I mean to say. So if you want to skip past yourselves, you go right ahead. As long as the contributions come in, because YouTube revenue doesn't cut it. You know, not every singer makes money like Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? You'll hear about these successful YouTubers. There's guys like PewDiePie and Logan Paul that make millions. But for every one of those guys, there's several million others who are just, they're not making more than a few $100 a month, or maybe $1,000 a month. Maybe if they're, big. So the way that this channel can keep moving is through the support of the community. I don't want to have to rely on a sponsor, but if it's a sponsor that I use and believe in and believe it's a true value to my viewers, and then I have to deal with some skepticism that I'm a paid shill, and that if I'm not paid by these sponsors, then when I tell you this is what I really like, there's still people that say I'm a paid shill and I'm just not being honest about it. But it's less of that. It doesn't happen as often. And I want to be sure that everything is clear and honest and as objective as possible. That's all I can do. If you have another idea of how I can do that and convince people, I'm all ears. I don't know how else to do it. And remember, so Reverend John O'Toole just posted a video on my channel, I shared his video, where he uses Acronis to clone one SSD to another in his laptop. So if you guys are interested in how that works, it's a great video, it's clear, and it's shot very well. John presents himself very well, and I appreciate John. Not everybody's got the guts to put themselves out there. It's real easy to criticize somebody. Let me see you turn your camera on and let me see you do it. Because you're going to get the criticism. Even if you nail it, you're still going to get it. So if you're not willing to accept it, then don't dish it out. So a big shout out and thank you to Acronis, a big shout out and thank you to all the contributors, a big shout out and thank you to John O'Toole, a big shout out and thank you to Edward Green and to Crazy Vera for their edits. A big shout out to my sister. You'll see her in the chat as the letter L, and she's been doing a lot of she'll take these long live streams and she'll take little clips out like, ooh, that's a good little quick tip. She's making the amazing thumbnails for me. She's making the amazing merch for me. And I can't say enough about how important her role is in helping this channel expand. And she's family, so I don't have to worry about any backstabbing and she's my sister, whether she likes it or not. She better get used to the idea. Acronis says they loved John O'Toole's video very much, and they saw it in Twitter. There you go. Is John O'Toole still with us in the chat? You still out there, John? Acronis just gave you a shout out, buddy. Well deserved. Well earned. Thank you, Acronis. And thank you, John O'Toole. And to all my viewers who are not yet blue, I want to turn you blue. All you got to do is be kind and courteous. Participate in the chat so I recognize your name. And over time, I will make you blue. Yes, mods, please do not hide people unless they are vulgar. If they are vulgar, you can hide them. Otherwise, you know, what you're doing is somebody may not know the rules and you upset them and you cost me a viewer. If you want to support the channel, please don't cause any damage, even though you have the right intention. Bring it to my attention. Just say, hey, Carey, you know, if I don't catch it, you might have to type it a few times. Let me decide, please, please. Pretty please. It's not all me. I want to make it very clear. It's not all me. You know, this channel happens because of contributions. It happens because of viewers. It happens because people contribute, not just financially, but people contribute with supporting me by sharing the videos on social media. Companies like Acronis that make a good quality product at a fair price that help me do my job better, and the customers think I'm a genius because of the tools I use. And I just want to show you the behind the scenes magic and say it's not magic at all. And if you saw how the trick was done, you'd go, well, that's incredibly simple. This guy's not that smart. Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it. Resman says, I want to be blue. The way you get to be blue is you, first of all, don't say you want to be blue. That's a big red flag. The people who deserve it the most are the people who are helpful in the community, and they're people I recognize in the chat room as people that are supportive and kind to other people in the chat room. And as I start to recognize you, I turn you blue. It's really that simple. Saying I want to be blue won't do it. There's Franklin. Franklin's in the chat, and Reverend John O'Toole is in the chat. Hey, guys. Reverend John O'Toole says, I'm under a pile of blankets because he's cold. This probably isn't going to make you feel much better, John. But let's see what the temperature is outside. Let's take a look. You ready? It's 81 degrees Fahrenheit. I have to put my air conditioner on. It's March 1st. I have to put my air conditioner on. I'm not getting much sympathy from any of you, am I? Shut up and get to work. Do you have a Discord server? We had a Discord server for about 2 weeks and it was abused so badly we took it down. Unfortunately, when people don't pay for a service, they abuse it. That seems to be the way the internet works these days. It's very hard for me to maintain these videos for free. If you understood the amount of abuse I endure on a daily basis, you'd wonder what sort of madman I am to voluntarily put myself on a public platform to be punched. That said, I'm doing my best to prevent a paid platform. However, so long as the harassment and abuse continues, for whatever reason, I don't know why people do it, apart from the fact there is a lot of mental health issues and there's a lot of lonely people, I just click and bounce a couple times and they're gone forever. But there's no shortage of them. It's sort of like swatting mosquitoes. There's more than you can ever swat. But if we go to a paid platform, I know that 99% of that will vanish because trolls don't pay money to troll. Not only are they lonely, but they don't have jobs, they don't have money, most of them. But I think education should be free to anybody who wants it anywhere in the world, and it's a shame to let trolls have that impact. So for now, everything's free. The contributions through the channel permit this to be of better quality. I get better recording equipment. I said I'd never go live. I said a lot of things I'd never do. But that was based on how much money it was going to cost, and the fact that when I go live, I'm exposing would you let me film you at your job live without edits? Would you let me do it? Do you understand how stupid I have to be? I'm a human being and I make mistakes. And they're here live for you to see. But also some pretty cool things happen when I'm live too. And there's no editing and there's no delays. And I can make more videos more often and they can be right on with, what's the word? Hold on. Accessing thesaurus. The word begins with an R. Come on, Google Brain. Relevant. I can be very relevant by making live videos of the moment, whether it's something in the news, viruses, Windows updates, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, I'm exposing my work ethic. I am exposing my interruptions, right? Doorbell rings, dogs bark, there's things beyond my control. I make mistakes. And everybody, some people on the internet, they're just waiting. They're like this. I swear, there's people on the internet. Hold on, I gotta get a bigger knife. And they're like this. Come on, Carey. Come on, buddy, make a mistake. Come on, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. You smug know-it-all, high horse riding, soapbox riding, preaching. Make a mistake, I dare you. And I'm like, who are you? What do I owe you? Didn't I say I was going to get to work an hour ago? Somebody's got a big editing job. He's a cruel man to his editors. A mean, mean man. Do you have any idea how much work this is going to be to edit 4 videos together? Do you have any? Try it. Try it. Try grabbing these 4 videos and piecing it all together so it's relevant and concise. I dare you to try it. Ooh, it's hot. RAM, 2 sticks of 16. You know why? We're not going with 4 sticks of 8. Are we going to go through this again? Oh, look, if you put this on your computer, it'll go faster. I can prove it. If you watch a race, a car race, a drag race, NASCAR, do you see any cars without stickers on them? Of course not, because the cars without stickers don't run fast enough to be in the race. Go faster sticker. That is not true. Packaging. Your packaging that your RAM comes in, you should save that and put it away in case you have to RMA it. It's a good way to, so we're set that right over there. We're gonna skip a channel. We're gonna skip a slot. As I recall on this motherboard, it doesn't matter if we use the 1st and the 3rd or the 2nd and the 4th. RAM only goes in one way. Line it up into the socket. And then push down with one corner and then the other corner. And you should do this with the computer laying flat, but if I lay it flat, you can't see anything. Just to give you an idea of the height difference of the RAM and why we're having cooler conflicts, I want you to look at the height difference. If I line up the bottom of the RAM where it plugs into the socket, look how much bigger that RAM is. Significantly bigger. Yeah? You with me? Is there RGB lighting that important to you? You just buy a lava lamp and get it over with, man. This dude's hilarious. Have another drink. I'll be here all week. And I'm going to close these other sockets. There we go. Are you still recommend using CCleaner for Windows 10? No, I mean you can if you want to, But Windows 10 has something built in called Storage Sense. And if you, in that little white box in the left corner, bottom left corner of Windows 10, it says type here to search. Type in storage, or STOR, and you'll see storage settings comes up. Turn Storage Sense on, and you don't need CCleaner anymore. Is he drunk or high today? If you think I'm drunk or high, you should see me when I'm drunk or high. Think about that. I'm high on a community that is so friendly, and I can appreciate it now more than ever after what I went through with you know who and you know what. So I might have been taking it for granted before, but because that happened, I cherish you all so much more than you can possibly imagine. It puts me in a really good mood. You know, when we have people in the chat that are being kind to one another and you're asking good, thoughtful questions, and you're not there telling me how stupid I am and how I do everything wrong, it affects my mood. And no intoxication from alcohol or drugs is necessary, because the dopamine release in the brain is far more powerful. If you've ever walked on stage and heard an audience clap for you, you should feel it. You know those people that are rock stars and people are cheering for them? That's better than any drug you can possibly imagine. People talk about that Bohemian Rhapsody movie with Queen and Freddie Mercury, you know. That whole Live Aid thing, can you imagine what that must have felt like to Freddie Mercury, to have an audience that was there? They weren't there to see Queen. Queen was not on the ticket, you know, for Live Aid. They were a last minute addition. Those were not Queen fans. They did not buy tickets to see Queen. It's one thing when people buy tickets to see you, you know that those people are on your side. Furthermore, MTV was pretty new at the time. And when they sang the song Radio Gaga, all of Wembley Stadium in unison put their hands in the air, mimicking what they saw on the MTV video, and they clapped and left. It's something to watch. If you understand the context of what happened in that moment, it's mind-blowing. And you can imagine what that must have felt like, the rush from, you know, John Deacon and Brian May and Roger Taylor and Freddie Mercury, the four guys that make up Queen. They didn't know to expect that. And you can't get enough of that. That is the most powerful addictive drug you will ever have in your life. I promise you. Approval from a sea of people is a natural release of dopamine in the brain which no drug can compare with. All right, I want to clean the CPU. I got a little door stop, and I'm going to jam it under the Lazy Susan. And people who want to know, where did you get that little round spinny thing? All the links for everything are in the video notes. Please click on the video notes for that information. I want to clean the CPU, and I want to clean the bottom of this cooler because I tried fitting this cooler to an earlier build and it didn't fit. So anything I've got is extra parts. I leave it around my inventory in case something like this comes up and I can offer it as a solution, and that's exactly what's happened here. But I do have to clean it. The other thing that's interesting about Queen, Brian May plays, he's the lead guitarist with the guy with the big hair. That red guitar he plays, it's called the Red Special. He and his father built that because he couldn't afford to buy a guitar. So him and his father set out to work in the garage finding spare wood they had laying around the house. And they built this guitar. And he said, well, if I'm going to build it, I'm going to add a few features. So he added 3 pickups. The pickups are the thing that, they're like these little metal bars underneath the strings that pick up the sound from that area of the string. And he can turn the pickups on or off individually, any combination thereof. And he can reverse the polarity of each pickup, leaving multiple combinations of different sounds that guitar can make. And he's played that guitar for 40 years, and he doesn't play with a pick. He was poor. He plays with a 6-pence coin. So if you look closely, Brian May is playing a guitar he built with his father in the garage, and he plays it with a 6-pence coin and not a guitar pick. If you notice on the stand, there they stick extra picks because you drop picks or you throw them out. Brian May's is filled with 6-pence coins. Persistence. Invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. And when you learn all this about the band Queen, even if you don't like the band, you can't help but respect that. Well, I can't help but respect it. I don't know about you. You're a tough guy to please. So what I'm doing right now is I've got some denatured alcohol, and I am cleaning the top of the internal heat spreader of the CPU to try and remove any dust, oils from my skin, any type of contamination. And that way when I place the thermal compound on it, the thermal compound will work better. If I don't clean it, the thermal compound will still work. It's just, I mean, if you're gonna do it the best you can, you know? And if you're too lazy, then just slap some thermal compound and don't worry about it. Don't let people on the internet tell you anything different, said the guy from the internet. The bottom of the pump, I'm gonna clean that up now. It's, you know, it looks clean, but it's not. So I'm going to run it through one more time. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't go overboard. Don't be extreme one way or the other. Find the middle, find the balance. So it's coming off a little cleaner, but still some stuff. So I'm gonna do it one more time, and that ought to be good enough for government work. Okay. In case you're curious, I bought this about 20 years ago, or yeah, 15 years ago. It's 100 proof. The stronger the alcohol content, the more pure it is, the better. You don't have to dry it off. It will naturally evaporate, which is why it's important that you put the lid back on. We use this to clean tape deck heads and VCR heads because the tape would run across the head. That's how cassette tapes and 8-track tapes, reel-to-reels, and VHS and beta tapes worked. So this is the same exact process from 40 years ago. We're still using it today to clean CPUs. See how far we've come? Instead of adjusting rabbit ears for our television signal to come in, or for our telephone, we walk over here and we go, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? See how far we've come? Snarky today. So snarky. Ken Wayne's contributed $5. Thank you, Ken. Never knew that about Brian May and the 6-pence coin. I didn't either, and I'm a Queen fan, and I didn't know that. If you go to YouTube search and type in Red Special, you'll have all these interviews with Brian May, because apparently everybody but me knew that this guitar is that special. You can give Brian May $1 million guitar, and he'll say, I'd rather have my Red Special. You know, he'll play it. He'll play that $1 million guitar, and he'll say, thank you, that's nice, but give me back my Red Special. And you know, when Brian May passes, nobody else is interested in that guitar. You know what I mean? Like, people would want it, but that's something that goes with the man. You know what I'm saying? And he made replicas of that guitar, and you can buy them. I think they're about $900 in England, that come out of England. And it's mass produced to his specifications, and they make them in batches. So if you want one, you have to sort of put yourself on a waiting list for it. Matt says, depression has hit home and going into hiding. Matt, come here for a minute. You're among friends here. You're not alone here. And I know this sounds awfully simple and it oversimplifies, but I'm going to do it anyway. You have a choice. You can, I'm way oversimplifying this. Choose to be happy, even no matter how hard it is. I'm not saying it's easy to do, it's easy to say. Choose happiness. He said with a very serious sir. Choose to be happy, no matter how hard it is. One of my favorite scenes is Rambo's getting electrocuted. I realize it's a movie, he's being electrocuted. And he says, "Is that all you got?" I mean, I love that. Gets punched. It's like, my sister hits harder than that. Never show anybody it's getting to you. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. I promise you. But if you're waiting for it to happen on its own, you're going to be in a depression for a very long time. I'm going to take a real quick break. I'm going to be right back. All right, guys, I apologize for that. Okay. A little tube of thermal compound here. Oh, this stuff's in my way. I better move it. I better move it. Because you know, things fall down, go boom. Try to avoid that. Big bada boom. Yes, there's going to be nerd references throughout these videos, and if you don't get them, it's okay. Just type it into Google. The power's in your hands. Still smacking stuff around. Kept all the parts in a Ziploc bag. Stay. No, it keeps falling. Okay, let's go this way. This little latch keeps falling down the other way. Why does it got to be plastic? If I can't put the back plate on, I'm in real trouble. Stay. This is for AMD, so we're not using that. Wait, what? These have skirts? Why do I have 8 of them? What's happening right now? Probably should have kept the documentation. That's weird. What is that? What is that for? I think I need these. I know you can't see. Stay with me for a minute. I don't have a cameraman. So now what I've done is I put these two standoffs in opposite corners to hold that back plate on. You sort of have to use two hands for that, and it's, unless I'm wearing a camera on my chest. And by the way, I tried it with a GoPro and several people vomited from motion sickness. I'm not doing that anymore, but you'll just have to wait until someday when I get all kinds of money and I can afford to not only pay myself, but perhaps have a camera operator with a steady hand. Until then, doing the best I can with what I have, and that's the important part of life. You do what you can with what you've got. Just basically the rule of any card game. You're dealt some cards, you play them to the best of your ability, and that's all anybody can ever expect you to do, and anybody who expects more than that is unreasonable. Okay, so that's got our standoff. It does have a little play in it, and it's supposed to, because what'll happen when we tighten that water cooler down, it's gonna pull back on that back plate and push down on the cooler, and that's gonna squish it together and make it nice and tight and have a good mating surface for the cooler. Now with this lower profile RAM, I fully expect to be able to insert the radiator, which on the previous video I've secured to this bracket, and this bracket has a shelf, if you will, that it's going to slide onto. And before, because of the height of the RAM, we were banging into the RAM before this would fully seat, and that's why the RAM had to be changed out. Hey, look at that. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. Don't get a big head, Carey. Too late. Woo. 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 Grow up. You grow up. Ta-da! I know I got a couple standoffs that rolled underneath the lazy Susan. 1, 2, 3. 4. Carey, you need to install a fan. Don't! Confidence gets you every single time. Every single time you get a little confident. Every single time. Thank you. I just needed an excuse to use my screwdriver some more. Liar. Okay. Eighteenth time is the charm. What's the par for this course? Probably help if I put the fans on. You guys are sharp. See what I'm saying? How far do you think I would have gone before I realized that? Putting the side panels back on. Doo-doo-doo. Ignorance is bliss. So happy. All right, so what I want to do is, that's not good. See what I've done here? You see what I did? I got this so close to the edge of the counter, and I got no free space without this sort of drooping. So what I got to do is I got to push this back. Enough room. With these fans, you know that this air comes out of the side with the support brackets. You see this middle does not turn when the fan turns. That's the side the air is coming out. This side here with the center that spins, that's the side air is drawing in. I want to draw air from inside of the case. I want to pull the air out and push it through the radiator out through the top of the case. Could I do it the other way? Sure. Would it make a difference in cooling? Yes. Would it be a big difference? No. Are you going to keep asking yourself questions that you answer yourself? Maybe. This way is wrong. See what I did? That's the side the air comes out. I want that cable coming out the top right, just like I want the other cables, so the cables will be together and make the installation cleaner as far as cable management goes. So to do that, we've got these very long screws with washers on the end. That's going to go right through the fan. I don't want to use my electric screwdriver because the metal the radiator is made from is pretty soft. On occasion, you'll see me exercise poor judgment. Today's not the day for that. I've already been bitten once with overconfidence, and so I'm going to play it extra cautious and stick to my guns and say what I do and do what I say for once. I suppose I could have started them with the electric screwdriver, but don't tighten them down with it. And that the electric screwdriver's spinning at 800 RPM, so very easy to go whoopsie, snap the screw off. It's one thing I don't want to hear from somebody in an operating room is, oops. Could you pick that liver up and wash it in the sink? It'll be fine. Don't over tighten these fan screws. You want them secure, right? But the minute they start offering you some resistance, stop. Round and around she goes, and where she stops, only Carey knows. Wrong answer. You still with me? We're all still here? 702 people watching? Don't wave back, I can't see you. Why don't you give me a shout out? Tell me where you're watching me from. Not your home address, just like the state or the country, that would be good. I'm watching you from 123 Millhouse Avenue. You're a little too specific there, my friend. I'm not coming for a visit. Unless you owe me money. My credit's so bad, I asked for a loan, they had to break, they said they had to break my kneecaps in advance. Who writes this stuff? The people I steal it from. Did you make that line up? Not even that one. The screwdriver's really, it's fitting in the screws so good, it's pulling out. It's gripping. It's good. That's a good fit. It's a number 2 Phillips. Number 2 Phillips bit. That's an impact bit, I think, from DeWalt with the yellow band on it. I like it because it's got a skinny neck on it. Why? I don't know. Does it make any difference? I just think it looks cool. Well, you're old. Better than being dead. Ask any dead person, they'll tell you. I screwed up again. Okay. Okay. What did Carey do wrong? Where do we begin? At the beginning. These wires need to come out of this side. Now, when it comes to taking the screws out, we can definitely use the electric screwdriver for that, so we're not sitting here all day to do something extraordinarily and profoundly simple. It'd still work, it just won't look as pretty, you know, by having the cables running across the front like that. But remember, this is the part that's going to move in towards the back of the case, this part that's kind of jutting out with these little weird, whatever these are, tabs. So I need to turn this fan, and I want this cable to come out the middle, top, and I was thinking this was the bottom. Remember, it flips the other way, so everything's backwards. I'm not good with maps. Everything is, whatever direction I'm heading is always north. I'm always going up. I have to turn the map. My visual, my spatial, whatever you call that. Even a mall, when you're in a shopping mall and there's like that store map, it says you are here, and I'm like, hold on. Oh, it's the other way. That way's always north. But that's south. No, that actually, in this case, I'm pointing north. I get it right 25% of the time. Just saying. You know, I'm sure you've heard this expression before that, is it Hank Aaron, some famous baseball player. What do I know about baseball? I'm a nerd. You know where I'm going with this. You know, making mistakes, it's not a big deal. It's really, so what? Don't beat yourself up. You're not a robot. Who would want to be one? If you're right all the time, you're just annoying. Or in my case, you're annoying either way. But regardless of that fact, if somebody goes up to bat in Major League Baseball and they only make contact with the ball once every 3 pitches, more than 3, like 3.33, whatever it is, then they have a .300 batting average, which is considered amazing, talented, and highly desirable. A 300 out of 1,000 possible. If you can hit a 300, if you can hit the ball 300 times, if I throw the ball at you 1,000 times, and you can make contact, whether it's a foul, you know, no matter if the ball goes straight up, just if you can make contact, if you can make the bat hit the ball 300 times out of 1,000, you're considered amazing. Think about that. Ow. This ain't baseball. It means you're not supposed to get it right the first time every time. That means you're not learning anything. Failure, F-A-I-L, first attempt in learning. Jesus, this guy is just full of cliches. He's gonna go hug a tree. Nothing wrong with hugging trees. Anti-treeist. How else do you get wood? want to take the wire tie off of that wire so I can run it through that opening in the back, right back here, so we have nice clean wire management on that. And the word is arborist. Arborite. There's a song called "It Could Have Been Me" by a gentleman named Luke Spiller in a band called The Struts. And if you don't think that sounds exactly like Freddie Mercury, and if you don't think, if you watch the video, that this guy doesn't even look and act like a very young Freddie Mercury, then you and I are seeing and hearing two different things. Now, I'm not going to tell you every song Luke Spiller sings sounds like Freddie Mercury, because he's got more range than that. Not that Adam Lambert is necessarily doing a bad job as Queen's frontman, but I really think Luke Spiller could be amazing in the band Queen. The Struts, Could Have Been Me, and pay attention to the lyrics. Stay. The reason we have more of these screws is you can put two more fans, if the case permitted it, to also flow in the same direction on the other side of the radiator to sort of sandwich it in there, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. More parts, more failures. And in the case of fans, more power consumption, more heat from the fan motors, more noise, more problems. Find the balance. Don't go so extreme you don't have any fans, and then don't have nothing but fans. Find the middle. Find your balance. It matters which connector you put this on. So on a Kraken X60, any of the NZXT line, you're going to see that the main power, and by the way, you can plug the fans directly in the motherboard if you want to, but if you want to use the NZXT software, which I recommend, you're going to want to, you got to plug this in anyway to power the pump. So we're going to plug a power connector from the power supply onto this end. That's going to power the pump, and this will power up to 4 fans. Remember I said you're going to have 2 blowing out, and two on one side of the radiator and 2 on the other. And it does matter that you at the very least, use this first connector, the very first one. If you look inside, you'll see it's got 4 pins, and all the other ones only have 3. Gotta have a sharp eye. This stuff is incredibly simple if you're paying attention to those little minute details. So as long as you plug one fan into this, it's going to use that to measure the fan RPMs and control all the other 3. But if you don't use this one by mistake, if you plug it into any of these, if you leave this one empty, then it's going to say it doesn't detect the fan. It's not going to work. It's going to give you errors. So you must use the one that has 4 pins, and then just logically it makes sense to use the next one in line, and then the next one, and the next one. So this one on the end is considered the last one. But you could see it as the first one. For all I know, you see a glass half empty, you see a glass half full. Me, I just see a glass that's too big. Well, what do I know? I don't see the world the same way other people do. And I'm very happy about that. Thank you for asking. It's not a disability. I'm just differently abled. Meh. What'd you say? I said meh. Now we're going to run the other end of that through because this plug is going to go into the pump right over there. And this is going to go onto the CPU fan header to let your BIOS know that you have a fan working. Some BIOSes, if they don't detect the CPU fan on the specific CPU fan header, you got to read, usually it's the header closest to the CPU on most boards. It's often a different color than, it's usually white or it's a different color. And if the BIOS doesn't detect a fan, it shuts your computer down to prevent damage. And so sometimes when people build a brand new machine and they don't plug that header into the right place, they go, my machine turns on and turns right off. What is it? That's the first thing to check. Carey, sir, you are a knight. N-I-G-H-T? Or is it Knigget? K-N-I-G-H-T. I'm a Knigget. Less fans equals less noise. I can assure you, if I walk out on stage and there's only 4 fans, my jokes don't go over as good. Wait, are we talking about the same thing? Winston, my buddy Winston, my good friend Winston. Everybody's my good friend. Winston is he's a longtime viewer and contributor watching us from Vancouver, Canada. See, not everybody from Vancouver is never mind. Winston joins us from Canada. He's contributed 10 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Winston. Why do you keep touching your face? I just want to make sure it's there. I just check. Yep. Eyes, nose, mouth, ears. Good. Let me see if I missed any other contributions. Jason Custer has contributed $5. Love your humor. See, Mom, I told you. Told you I was funny. Jack D has contributed $4. He says, I explained in previous I don't know what that's about. Did Tony contribute again? Tony, you the man. Paul Baxter's contributed £2. Says, have another Coke on me. Ken Wayne, $5. Wire Sowaloo's contributed $2. It says, I love your builds and your attitude. Thank you. £2 from Bob the Bomb. He says, just in case the beer kicks in and I vanish. Thomas Yeager says, where do you buy your shirts from? Do a Google search for rockabilly shirts. Rockabilly is a style of the 1950s. Charlie Sheen sort of, well, not Charlie Sheen, but the casting person or the costume director of 2.5 Men sort of brought that back. I like Charlie Sheen. I don't care what you say. I like Charlie Sheen. And I like the look of the shirts. I'm not a fan of the 1950s, but I like the shirts. So if you just type, you don't have to go anywhere special. I think I got this from it's called daddyos.com, another 50s expression, hey daddy-o. So yeah, just type in rockabilly shirt into Google, and if you want, you can hit the shopping tab and knock yourself out. Allergicus has contributed $5. He says, oh, we covered that. Dan Ria says, have some Coke and some cookie money. We'll give a shout out to everybody. Christoph Esch, €10. Sterling, $2. Tony Wallow, $4.99. Harry Baldwin, $4.99. Andrew Johnson, £5. Daryl May, $20. Niles Van de Sand, €2. Tony Wallow, again, $4.99. Alan Parker, $5. Andrew Dorset, $5 New Zealand dollars. He says, thank you for all you do, Uncle Carey. Keep up the great work. I missed your contribution earlier, Andrew. Thank you.
Sorry I missed you. It wasn't on purpose. Boz Peter has contributed €4. He says, thanks for the great stream. Mira Ora has contributed $5 and another $1. Alex Vega contributed $5. He says, I've been a fan. I got to slow down. I've been a long-time fan of your videos. I used your videos as a guide to build my computer with a 4770K that is still going strong. Well, of course it does. And good job. Well done. You make me proud. Tony Wallow contributed $9.99. Steve Devine, $2. James Zender, $20. He says, you always give good stuff. Isn't that what's sandwiched between an Oreo cookie? Is that what I give? That stuff? Kidding. I shouldn't have to say that. HVAC Trucker contributed $20. Boz Peter, again, €4. Billy Zoo was $3 Australian. Tony Wallow with $19.99. Irving T, €5. Thomas Beckenstow, $5. Peter Stevenson, $5. He says, I think you should rephrase that to we should give one to Sharon, Carey. I'm sorry, Peter. I guess I missed your contribution earlier. Thank you. Elliot Fleming contributed $20. He says, hello from Chicago and have a Coke on me. Met Elliot in person when I was in Chicago a few years back, and we hung out, and he's a cool dude. And I know he wants a case badge. Everybody who wants a case badge, I'm going to do my best to get one to you guys. We've had several people who are frequent contributors who already have a case badge, and they said, please give my case badge to somebody who can't afford one. So I have a handful of those to hand out. If you want one, please let me know. Email address is carey@tech, vets.com. It's short for Veterans of Technology. I may not be able to honor all the requests, so please don't flood me. I'll do my best. David Griswold has contributed $10. Sharon Idle, £1. Peter Brooks has contributed £1.99. Matt Power contributed $5. Verujan Kalustian, $1. John Craig, £5. Ramix, 72, $2. Steve Caruso, $25. He says, I hope this helps someone who needs a computer built and have a Coke on me. Orlando Brave contributed $5. Jim Desposito, $10. Maroof, $5. And Tony Wello kicked us off back at 10 minutes to 1 earlier today with the big $49.99. Thank you. Tony's just driving it today, man. And your generosity. Sometimes I do a live stream, I get like 10 contributions that are $2 each, and it's like, all right, whatever. And then you have days like today where everybody's like really generous, and it's cool, and I really appreciate that. And remember, all the contributions go back into the channel. I ordered, for example, last night after I ordered my case of Thin Mint cookies, I ordered 2 more of those Dell Optiplex systems. The price keeps fluctuating on Amazon. It goes from like 210, and then it goes to 185, and then it goes to 215. I don't know why it does that. So I saw they were at 185 again, and I ordered 2. And I've got 2 more of the SU630 500 gig SATA SSDs from AData that they've very generously contributed to the cause. And then we're going to have a live broadcast where the viewers who are present during that live broadcast, who are disabled vets or on fixed incomes, disabled, can't work, we're going to give these computers to them. I'll pay for the shipping. It's cost me $50 to $60 to ship. It's costing me $185 to buy the machine. I got a good price. And I do the work here on video. I show you where I pull the mechanical 500 gig drive out. I reconfigure the BIOS because they're coming with AHCI turned off. So I tune it up, make it go fast, and put it back in the box, and I ship it. And I don't decide who gets it. You guys decide. And for that reason, you have to be present during the live stream. I will not announce when I'm going to do it. I want to reward loyal viewers. Now, when I have all my loyal viewers say, I'm good, we don't need it, then I'll reach outside to people that are, my father can use it, my mother can use it, my cousin, my coworker. We're not there yet, right? We're going to take care of our own first. And you guys can you don't have to give us your personal story. You can just go, hey man, this would really help me, and give me a little story. If you've served the country in any capacity, fireman, policeman, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, whatever. Maybe you work at a school and the school has a tight budget and you could use it if the school will allow it. We're going to do our best to help you. I've also mentioned Kids at Hope. Kids at Hope is a charity very close to my heart, and I did an interview with them way back in December or late November. And it's been sitting and editing ever since. The audio is awful. It's awful. But it was an hour and a half interview. My sister's got it down to a little over 20 minutes. And it's a good interview and it's good edits. I'm still trying to figure out how to clean the audio, run it through some filters and try and do my best. And we're going to give Kids at Hope 5 computers for their office. Instead of Kids at Risk, it's Kids at Hope. This is a very important cause to me because of what I went through growing up, and I've survived it narrowly. You can survive it too. And those who want to contribute to that cause, please do not do so yet. When I have the video ready, we're going to get rid of all, one thing at a time. There's only so much room on my plate. We're going to give those computers, we're going to build 5 computers for Kids at Hope. They're going to cost about $600 a piece. I've already ordered the cases. Obviously, it's going to be a CORSAIR 200R. I've already got the power supplies. They're just EVGA 450 watt power supplies. So we're going to get some solid state drives, probably 500 gigs, a decent, i7 processor, not the fastest one because they don't need that and it's going to be loud. And we don't want excessive cooling. We'll put something together. I don't know what, but it'll be better than an i5. We'll go with an i7. Catherine and I will work on the parts list together. She's already done it, but it's been so long, we have to do it again. And then we're going to film those builds, and I'm going to film me delivering them to the good people at Kids at Hope so that they can then take the computers they have now and donate those to another charity. And it's just paying it forward. It's a very important cause. Bullying is lifelong repercussions, and it is essentially inhumane. And those kids that are being bullied, it's hard for them to understand when an adult tells them it's going to be okay, you're going to be okay. It's not just you, it happens to a lot of people. You don't understand. The kid's attitude, at least mine, I can only speak for me, was you don't understand. You don't know what it's like. Okay, you're right. I don't know what it's like for you, but I know what it was like for me, and it was as bad as I can possibly imagine. Those kids need somebody. I'm going to turn my back. Thermal compound down there. Sorry, choking up. Someone's got onions. I like to spread my thermal compound. It's basically finger painting. And that ensures we have full coverage of the built-in heat spreader here. But what you have to understand is there's no one way to do it, right? I mean, some people, they make an X or a Z or they use a dot. My problem with those methods is I can't really tell if I've got enough or too much without removing the heatsink to look, and that defeats the point. So we want to put enough thermal compound on there that we can't see through it. And you don't want to put so much on that when you put the heatsink on, it oozes out the sides and it gets messy. And I use a nitrile glove, not a rubber glove, but a nitrile glove to spread the thermal compound. You could use a piece of cellophane tape or scotch tape on your finger as long as, kind of pull it off the roll in case it's got dust on it. If it's like me, you don't use the tape all the time, it's like going into the loaf of bread, you go into the middle, you don't want the ends. You want to make sure it's clean, and then we can take the thermal compound off and fold the glove inside out and throw that into the garbage, and it's nice and clean and you don't get it all over the place. Nitrile gloves, nitrile. Brian Lowe's has contributed $25.55. He says, if the only thing you do in life is make a child smile, you've done it all. We need to keep them smiling. John Hudson has contributed €10. He says, €10, thanks. One of your videos reminded me to go back to the basics to fix my slow booting desktop. Yeah, sometimes we overthink it. You should put some of that money towards a better production space. A 1990s kitchen is not suitable for the work you do. I mean, are you interested in education or are you interested in the classroom? You might not be here for the right reason. I kind of have a little joke that if I had a studio, I would just film this background with the clocks running so it looks live, and then I would green screen it. So even if I was in a studio, I could get a table that matches this and you guys would still think I was in my kitchen. Wouldn't that be funny? I just pull back a green screen and there's a big warehouse. Perry says, I didn't finish school because of bullying. I understand. At least people can go to school online now. Karen wants to know what causes a home media server to randomly shut down and reboot when accessing it. It would be impossible for anybody to give you an answer to that question that's specific, but I can give you vague instructions, which is you have to isolate if you have a software problem or a hardware problem. There's something called Occam's razor, and this is nothing new, this is all very simple. You can take a spare hard drive or use Acronis and image what you've got now and do a clean install of your operating system and see if the problem goes away. If the problem goes away, congratulations, you've solved it. If the problem still exists, then obviously you can restore back your original or hook up your original drive and start focusing on power supply and RAM. Use MemTest86. Swap the power supply for another power supply because that's cheaper than trying a power supply tester, because any power supply tester that's under $1,500, it's only going to measure voltage and not amperage. So that doesn't mean your power supply is working just because you're getting the right amount of volts. Until the power supply has a load on it, it may not actually be working. So just a $30 to $40 power supply is all you need. You don't even have to install it. You just hook the cables up just to the motherboard and maybe your hard drive, whatever the bare minimum power is, leave it outside of the case and check it, see if it recreates the problem. It takes time and it's a process of elimination. And then unplug everything from the motherboard that you don't need. If you don't need any USB devices, disconnect them. If you don't need the network, disconnect it. If you don't need a printer or a USB flash drive, take it all off, because any of those things could be the problem. Even your speakers, unplug them. You just want the bare minimum, which is power, keyboard, and mouse. That's it. See if you can replicate the problem. Then start plugging things in one at a time, and when the problem reoccurs, through the process of deduction, Occam's razor, once you've eliminated all of these things, all that remains is the problem. Very simple, one at a time. Are you going to watch the SpaceX launch tomorrow? Where's it launching from? I can, if SpaceX launches out of Vandenberg Air Force Base in California in the evening, I can see it from my house in Phoenix. But if they're launching out of Florida, not so much. And if they launch in the daytime, not so much. My high school bully became my boss 15 years later. He walked in and my heart fell. Turned out he approached me and we had a long talk. Turns out he's an okay guy, but still was a heart dropper. Yeah, people do change after high school. When you're a kid, your whole life is high school. That's all you have. But when you're out of high school and then the rest of the world opens up, you realize how small and insignificant and unimportant high school and the things that happen there really are in things that matter. I've had people come up to me that wouldn't give me the time of day and say, hey, do you remember me from high school? I'm like, you didn't talk to me then, and now you're my friend? I really needed your friendship then. It's not that I don't need it now. It's hard to let things go. But it doesn't mean you can't. And even if you try and you can't, just keep trying. Just keep trying. People deserve a second chance. You know, this guy probably isn't the same guy. I'm 50 years old. I am not the same person I was at 15. For better or for worse. All right, let's plug this on. Oh, wait, let me get this. So here on the side of the water block, man, the editor is going to have a hell of a time on this one. Here on the side of the water block, there's a socket. And the socket is unique, and this is the only thing that'll plug into it, and it'll only go in one direction, and it must be plugged in, or the pump will not run. Beside that, there's a USB port. We're going to hook a USB cable up to this as well, which is right here. This is USB 2.0, because that's all it needs to be. This is going to go on one of the spare USB 2.0 headers here on the bottom of the motherboard, on the bottom of all modern motherboards. That's going to go on the side of the pump, and if we put it on now, it'll save us some aggravation trying to do it later. See how that would be hard to plug in between the fans and the top? How difficult it would be to, so it's easier to put that on right now. And then we'll just drape these cables out of the way. And let me put this under here so it won't spin on me. And I want to orient the water pump so the NZXT logo is right side up. That's the other problem. If you put some people have asked why I don't run the hoses on the other side. The NZXT logo would be upside down. And if aesthetics are important to you, what are you going to do? Put your computer, flip your computer upside down? So having the hoses come out on the right side is important if aesthetics are important. Not to mention that it gets in the way of the fan and all the other reasons I gave the other day. That's a reason I totally forgot until just now. So add that to my list of reasons. Is anybody keeping track of my list of reasons? Somebody should really get on that. Ooh, this isn't good. This USB cable, holy smokes. This USB cable needs to be on a right angle. I don't know why they did this. Because it's so rigid and tall, it's hitting the fan and that fan will not spin. I want to make sure it's fully seated. That's as far as it's going. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to go on Amazon and I'm going to have to find one of these that's on a 90-degree angle. It's just a standard USB cable. Because this case doesn't really, this is an interesting case. I thought it was a better case when I started, and the more I work on it, the more limited it is, and I'm disliking this Phanteks Enthoo case more and more. I mean, it looks good, don't get me wrong, and it's built with quality materials. It's well built, but it's not well thought out. And that noise is my air conditioner kicking on March 1st, 2019. Oh boy, even these cables are awfully tight. So here's the thing. If I rotate the cooler, or the water pump, then the NZXT logo will be sideways, but that does then put the hoses in the way of the fans. And if I rotate it again, I'm going to just stick to my guns here because we do have clearance. It's okay. It's tight, but it's okay. And then as far as the USB goes, we can leave it disconnected. But if Franklin wants to adjust the colors, which I imagine he does, and the pattern, like if he wants the colors to go around in circles or flash or breathe, he has to use the software from NZXT. It's called the CAM software. Not that there's a camera involved. And it controls that through USB. So a simple right-angled USB will solve it, and then some real tight wire management on those cables will ensure we won't have any interference with the fan in the futures. Futures? Is there more than one? Maybe. And this is a little tricky because what I've got to do is, normally, if you have a big enough case, you can just get your hands in there and tighten these thumb screws down with, I don't know, your thumbs. But because this is a tight fit, I'm going to have to reach in there with a screwdriver to give me the extension I need to reach. Don't tighten them down too much because what'll happen is it'll all go to one side and then you'll have a bear of a time trying to get the other side. Also, when you tighten it down like the wheel on a car, you want to go in opposite corners, like a star pattern, opposite corners, so that you don't warp it on one side by over tightening one side more than another. So we want to tighten it down. Well, we're not going to tighten it down yet. We're going to get these all started right now. And you'll see me, I keep backing the screwdriver off, and that's because it feels like it's not threading on the screw properly, and it's very easy to strip these screws out. So if you're struggling with it, just take the thing off, try a different one. Sometimes, because this was previously used, I don't know why it's doing that. There it goes. See how easy that turns? So before it kept stopping on me. If you feel that starting to resist, back it off. Try a different approach. Every one of them is doing that to me today. It's weird. Definitely why you don't use an electric screwdriver on this stuff, because you can't feel that with an electric driver. Let's try this corner instead. Easy. Oh, I guess I didn't have that one on, it just fell off. That explains why it went on so easy. See, the driver's giving me some resistance right here. This is not supposed to be this difficult. I have a feeling that maybe when I installed this previously, I might have, I mean, it won't even start. Might have caused some damage to the threads. They're not really meant to be taken off and put back on time and again. Now, because I am struggling with it, and it seems like I'm going to have to rethread it. It's going to have to sort of find a way to bite. For that reason, I will use the electric driver, but I'm going to slow it down to the slower speed. Now it's at 400 RPM instead of 800, or is it 6? Either way, it's the switch controls the speed, so we're on low speed. And I'm going to push on the screwdriver, encourage it to, just nothing. It refuses to to go on. This is not good. This is not good at all. Try the other corner. So I have two choices on how I want to proceed with this. One is I call NZXT or I email NZXT and I say, I got some bad standoffs, and they will probably send me new standoffs for free. But it's going to delay the build. There does seem to be an issue with the standoff. The other thing I can do, if you feel like I got nothing to lose, is give it everything you got to try and get that screw to start. Because once we get past that part, it should thread okay. But if you have to take it off and put it back on in the future, I don't know. It's a tough call to make. And then of course, make sure that it's fully seated, right? Make sure that that screw is sticking out, that there's enough on there for you to grab onto. And there definitely is. Now, see, even that other one just fell off. This is interesting. And the reason I know it's not the standoffs is we can take these other remaining standoffs that I've got in the bag here. These are a little different. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's the thumb screws. Bad B has contributed $10. He says, I adopt you, Carey, as my new brother. We are very much alike. Well, thank you. I will take that as a compliment all day. Yeah, it looks like these these thumb screws are giving me the grief. Maybe it's not the standoff after all. Do I have other thumb screws? Let me check and see. I might. Jimmy Bateman says, I sent $100 through PayPal for the kids' builds. Well, thank you. It's hard for me right now to accept money for the kids' builds because I've not started that project. I'm asking you guys not to contribute to that cause until I'm ready. I thank you for your contribution. It's going to be hard for me to reserve that money specifically for the kids' builds. It will go towards the channel. And if you want me to refund it, I'm happy. Because you did it through PayPal, I'm happy to refund your money, and you can donate again when we're ready for that. Let me know what you'd like to do. I want you to know I really appreciate your support for this cause, and I certainly don't want to abuse your trust. I'm looking through some drawers of spare parts, and when you've been in business as long as I have, you're going to have a lot of drawers. And I organize it when what drawer I think is appropriate that day, but the next day I might be like, why would I put it there? Oh boy. What am I gonna do? Foiled by a standoff or a thumb screw. That's all it takes. All these parts working together in harmony and one thumb screw, and it all goes to the dogs. Well, I might be stuck. I might be stuck. Thinking. Nothing's happening. Yeah, Jimmy, I don't see a response from you yet. I'd like to know. Like I said, I can just hit the refund button, man. If you want that $100 to go to Kids at Hope, I need you to wait until that interview's done. If you want it to go to the channel, that's where it'll go, unless I hear back from you. I don't want to mislead you in any way. Let me know what you'd like me to do. I've got case thumb screws coming out of my ears, but I don't have cooler thumb screws. I thought for sure Corsair had sent me an extra kit, and I think it'll work on the NZXT. Wait a minute. What about the... No, that's not going to work. Man. No, I do not have a die in TapSet. Jimmy Bateman says, hey, it's all good. I'll donate again when it comes up. You do a great job teaching us how to build and work on computers. So thumbs up. Jimmy, you're a gentleman and a scholar, and your generosity is very much appreciated. And again, it all goes back in the channel. Well, I'm here looking at my parts. Is that what you call them? I'm going to show you something. A little off topic, but what's new? Newegg had a sale for a TP-Link refurbished wireless router with free shipping for $5.99. Wait, what? Doesn't the box and the shipping cost more than $5.99? I imagine it does. Well, it must be a pretty crappy router. $5.99. I can't buy lunch for $5.99. Well, the antennas are built in. They won't come off. What did I get for $5.99? I got a TP-Link AC1350, which isn't the latest Wi-Fi standard. It's the Archer C59. It's got plastic all over it. These aren't gigabit. These are just 100 megabit. It's $5.99. They're sold out. If you sign up for Newegg's email list, you'll catch deals like that. I ordered 3 of them. I gave 1 to a friend, and I've got 2 sitting on a shelf, and it was less than $20. Shipping was included. Comes with a Ethernet cable, power adapter, and that's all you get. That's it. I don't need that. Yeah, I'll put it in. You know, not everybody needs the Netgear XR700 $500 router. That router's been running fantastic. I would love to give you a review on it, but all I can tell you is I plug it in and I use it, and it's not giving me some of the weirdness of the ASUS router that I had. So I'm not looking back. I think it's overpriced. I think the XR700 should be around $350. I think it's marked up because they can, but I don't regret the purchase. I've been very, very happy with it. A viewer named John Wilson. John, are you in the chat? John Wilson said, I bought this laptop and I don't like it. I don't like it because I like to use it as a media center, and it doesn't have a DVD drive in it, and the keys don't light up when it's dark and I can't see the keyboard. And rather than return it, I'd like to give it to you so you can find Jack is a veteran himself of the armed forces, and he would like to see it go to a deserving veteran. And he said, who better to find a deserving veteran than our community? So it looks like it's brand new. I haven't powered it up or anything. John Jack Wilson Jr., retired T Sergeant. What's a T Sergeant? I know Sergeant. E6, United States Air Force, Vietnam veteran. Wow, John. Vietnam veteran. I mean, thanks for your service sounds so cliche, but seriously, thanks for your service. And then on top of that, we've got power adapter, mouse. This didn't come with this mouse. This is a Logitech upgraded mouse. This is something he did not have to include. Look at how nice this laptop is. Somebody is going to get a really nice laptop thanks to John Wilson. If you see John, his name is in blue in the chat. I don't know. He was in earlier today. I don't know if he's still in there. Core i7. Let's see if I can get that on the camera. Terabyte hard drive, 8 gigs DDR4. Somebody is going to get a laptop. Okay, I got landscapers here. And what I have to do, I'll tell you what, I got to figure out this thumb screw issue. Maybe I'll have some time tomorrow to get back on camera. And I'm going to say goodbye for now before all the noise hits. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the contributions and support. I will see you all again. I'm going to try and get on over the weekend, if not definitely on Monday, and we'll have an update on what's going on. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. I got to find a button.